Hello, that's us live. It
I
says
think
live
it
up
is.
there in the corner.
Excellent. Right.
hmm
Hello, everyone listening. Hang on, I've got to get the page up where it shows you the comments.
That's what I'm trying to find. I'm on your page right now, your channel. I keep refreshing it. I think it's going to come up here, but I don't see it. I don't see it.
Hang on, I've got a.
Oh, I've got it now. Here we go. Right, so I'll click on the Goodfella and Sargon show. There we go. I'll pause it so the audio doesn't come up. And as you get, there are the comments at the side there. Patriarchy podcast. What time this shindig start then? Right now with the black.
Right. So yeah, do you wanna raise anything that you've seen that's ridiculous?
Well, if you can top this one, you won't be able to. This is as ridiculous as it gets. Is it anti-feminist to watch the World Cup? Seriously, from the Guardian.
Jesus
It's unreal, isn't it?
Sorry, I'm really sorry. But that's just humor comes from surprise.
Yes, exactly.
What the fuck has the World Cup got to do with feminism being for or against? Sorry,
It says
sorry.
it says the presence of women. The presence of women is actually key to breaking the uninterrupted circle of sexism in British men's football. And it's fucking ridiculous, man. It's like they just can't have us do anything, you know. Oh no, it's not allowing me to post a link on there. Sorry. Alright, okay, let's see if I can remove the www dot. I'll remove the www dot and then see what that does. So, right, okay, it's on theguardian.com, but I'll remove that bit and then. No, it's not letting me. What the? There you go. Right, just add theguardian.com in front of that, and then you'll get the. It's not letting me post a link. You see.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. They can Google it.
But it's. I mean, it's as ridiculous as it gets. So you'd think they'd have some like. Why are these people not in Saudi Arabia saying, look, women need to be allowed to drive? Problems, real problems.
Well,
a woman not beheaded in Afghanistan for having an affair and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but those feminists have got really important problems over here too. You know,
True,
there are men having sports and fun without women, which is definitely something they can't allow.
I think that's what it boils down to. This is something that mostly men participate in. Mostly men are interested in it. You know, all year round we've got constant daytime TV for women, constant soap operas. Every 4 years we get the World Cup for 2 fucking weeks, and they cry about it. It's sexist. They always want to spoil men's fun. That's always what they want to do. It's dead annoying.
They are absolutely correct, though, if you think about it. They don't want men making jokes about women when there are no women around because they know that men are like, yeah, fucking women, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, well, that's disrespectful to me as a woman. So we need to be in every male space ever. So the men are always they're gonna make the joke and the wife's here or the feminist's here, obviously not the wife, you know. And so they just want to stand around policing men's behaviour like they have no hobbies of their own. You know, like women, like these feminists have got nothing to do, and it's just like.
Well, I've been watching the World Cup, and you can clearly see that the women in the crowd are loving it. They don't look at the game. They're looking at the big screen to see if they're ever on it. And then as soon as they appear on it, they're all waving. And you know what I mean? But there's clearly a lot of women who, you know, especially when the World Cup with countries, you know, a lot of women just get involved in it, more so than league games, you know. But it's to say it's anti-feminist. I mean, how can you get more ridiculous than that, you know?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily that they're saying the World Cup is anti-feminist, because obviously it's part of the patriarchy, so clearly it's very anti-feminist. But it's them liking the World Cup is anti-feminist, is what they're whinging about, isn't it? So, you know, if they want to do, like everyone else, have a great time at the World Cup, you know, men and women, it doesn't really appear to be oppressing anyone. And they're like, yeah, oh no, I'd like to like the World Cup too, but it does seem remarkably patriarchal that there are no women playing on the field at the moment. So can I like it and still be a feminist? Which I guess is a lot like saying, can I be a Muslim and eat pork? You know?
Well, they complain that look at the advertising this gets, but when the Women's World Cup comes round, this won't get the same coverage. This is what they complain about, right? Now, see if the Women's World Cup final was in my back garden, I'd close the fucking curtains. Do you know what I mean? It's boring. It's shite. Women's football is rubbish. And I'm not being sexist when I say that. It's just that they're not as physically determined as men to win. You know, I've watched women's football. It's just not as good as men's football. It's that simple.
Yeah, it's like anything that has a physical requirement. Nobody wants to watch like 5'9" basketball players trying to do slam dunks. They'd rather watch the 6'9" basketball players doing the actual dunks, wouldn't they? So
exactly.
Which is why I'm not a basketball player. Yeah, it's just one of the physical constraints. You just got to live with it. No one wants to see fat guys doing ballet, for example.
No, exactly. Well, I'd watch it for the funny element, but not for the for the sport. Just to watch it for the funny element.
Not for the apotheosis.
DHR dude is saying, question: what do you think about that? Most women claim to do all the upbringing of children, but once the child does something wrong, it's the father who left them there. That's their fault. Well, this is a classic, isn't it? I mean, if the child grows up and cures fucking AIDS, you know what I mean? All of a sudden, the mum gets all the praise. How wonderful she done. But whereas the son, does something wrong, ends up in jail. Where was the dad? Where was the father? And it's like, for fuck's sake, do you not even realise?
Yeah, no, that's exactly how it is. It's heads I win, tails you lose, isn't it?
Well, yes, exactly. You just can't. You can't win with these people. It's that simple. But I noticed that fathers get used a lot as a scapegoat. Even fathers that have been pushed out of the home for years. They've been pushed out of the home for years. They've had their children turned against them, but then they're the bad guy, and if anything goes wrong with the children, bad grades at school, it's because dad's not there. Good grades at school, it's because mum's there. Funny that.
Where was the father, though? I mean, it wasn't because the woman had the freedom to leave him that he wasn't there, was it? Oh, wait, no. Actually, it was exactly that. What was he supposed to do? Was he supposed to force her to stay? What was... this is my problem with all of this sort of thing. It's like, look, you're exercising your free choice, and then you're complaining about the free choice against him that you have exercised. What the...
They hate being reminded of that, though. They hate being reminded that... See, when they talk about... say on a social media thing, and they're bad-mouthing, oh, my husband does this, my husband does that. I always remind them that, you picked him, right? That you chose him. So what you're saying, what you're basically telling the world is that I can only attract fucking numpties. That's what you're telling the world. It's not a very good message to spread, is it?
Well, they reached their hand into that poison bowl of M&Ms, and they just happened to choose one that was poisonous every single time.
It's the worst. It's the worst analogy ever, because with the poisoned men, you can tell they're poisoned. Whereas if there's, like, say 10% of the M&Ms are poisoned, but not to worry because they've got hair on them. Well, fair enough. Now I know what ones are poisoned. The same as you would know a poisoned man. It's the worst analogy ever. But again, it all boils down to man hate.
Yeah, that is man hating. I mean, you could say not all black people, but 10% are. Go on, have it's just so offensive as well. And it's the sort of shit another way that if it's applied to women.
But they seem to be trying to put women off men. Yes, you might think you found a good man, but 10% of them are poison. So no doubt he'll turn on you one day and fucking beat you up or whatever. It's like there's some sad hope that if they can put them off men enough, maybe they'll turn lesbian. And you know what I'm saying. That's what it's like.
No, I do understand what you're saying. It's about tearing down everyone else, so it's a completely level playing field. You can't have someone else having a healthy relationship with a man over there because they're undermining everything that you're trying to persuade yourself is true. Well, you don't know that he's not going to be evil. It's like, yeah, but I'm pretty sure he's not, so I'm going to carry on. Yeah, but you don't know. You just, it's this sort of, it's poisonous. It really is. But I've seen a thing with Gloria Steinem where she was having an interview with some woman, and this woman was like, well, are you sure basically she was saying, are you sure that women really can have like a high-flying career and a family and everything? And Gloria Steinem was just like, no, that's not what we were saying. We were saying you can't have the family. And the interviewer woman looked quite surprised. And I was just sat there thinking, well, is it any wonder that you can't seem to persuade all women that this is the correct method of doing things? I mean, women like families. They seem to want families. It's so
most women.
Yeah, most women. Not all women, obviously, because these are women and they don't.
No,
but,
most women I've ever met.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most women I've ever met want children. So that's just the way I look at it.
Most women
more so than men. More so than men, I mean.
Oh, by miles. By miles.
I know, God.
It's and it's one of those things. Yeah, for a woman, exactly, it is commitment.
It is. They gain so much. They gain so much from a marriage. They pretty much. Well, I don't see it as gaining. I see it as kind of horrible that you can have that much control over somebody. But that is what it is. And I've always said this that it's easy with women to ride it and say, "Oh, you just scared of commitment and all that shit." And it's like, well, hang on a minute here. A woman who's married has a lot of power because she can say, "Right, I want to go to a boring party with my relatives tonight," and you might go as the husband, "No, I'm not interested." And she can then say, "Oh, really? Well, how about I put in for a divorce, ruin your entire fucking life, take your kids away from you, or you want to go to the boring party?" Next thing you know, the guy's fucking dragged along to some boring shitty party because he doesn't want to lose his children. She has a lot of power over him. It's horrible.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely
That's why they're
true.
keen to get married.
I always like the you're afraid of commitment, and I'm saying, no, I'm just afraid of commitment to you. Have you looked at yourselves,
And
women?
I like the one as well. No, I like the one that says you're not mature. See if a guy says, "No, marriage isn't right for me. I don't want to do that." They try to say that it's just not mature, but surely that is mature to decide for himself. That's not for me. Surely that is mature.
Well, it would be in a woman's favour. You see, if it was something a woman gets out of it good, then yeah, it's very mature. But if it's a guy doing something he wants to do, that's childish. He's stuck in his teens.
Aye. Any kind of hobby, that's fun, anything that's fun at all, childish. Like we have to be serious all the time.
Yeah, and women just can't enjoy it. And the thing is, right, there are a lot of women who aren't like this, and I do feel kind of bad painting them in the same light. But there are so many women who are exactly like this. It's just hard not to be like, no, seriously, 99% of you. It seems
It's a bit like, it's almost like women are a bowl of fucking M&Ms, isn't it? And 90% of them are fucked up. That's what it's like. Fucking hell.
Oh, that is exactly what it's like. And even then, I wouldn't use that analogy.
For the Americans, what? For the Americans, what is a numpty? A numpty's an idiot, a fucking idiot.
Unless you're in prison, and then it's a sex offender. But normally it doesn't. Yeah, absolutely. If you're a numpty in prison, it's something that's going to get you poorly treated. So something I found.
Oh, maybe it's a Scot. Maybe it's just.
Oh, maybe yeah. Can I post this? Oh, I can't post links. Right. Okay. Well, I found something on Tumblr which, I didn't find it on Tumblr. I found it on some Facebook group that had posted it, and it's a feminist who has got a grey meter square box and is wearing it around herself as her personal space box or something. It's just like, that's so brave of you. So she's just is in pictures, just standing there on the tube, just like, with a meter square box around her, just on her phone sort of thing. So yes, nobody's raping you. That box isn't symbolically keeping the rapists off.
But that's quite a lot of personal space. Imagine everybody
on the tube. Yeah.
Imagine everybody on the tube had a meter square around them. I mean, that's impossible.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Your personal space changes depending on where you are.
Exactly, but she's getting a lot more than a meter as well. She's getting probably about 2.5 meters. Seriously, around her. People are kind of like just staying away from the crazy person. There's some weird woman here who keeps going on about rape culture and personal space, and I just want to be away from her. But yeah, so
they're obsessed with rape.
she's so brave, though. I mean, so brave. I can't get over it. uh, see anything else interesting on your travels then?
There was an article I seen on, where is it here? It's the Independent. You may have heard of this one. Fathers angered by psychologists' claims that under fives are damaged by sleepovers with their separated fathers. This is what the psychologist, this nutter, says. But she has got a lot of opposition, to be fair, right? She has got a lot of opposition, but she's basically saying that when a mother and father are split apart, the child should stay with the mother all the time until it's over 5. You know, it's just like, once again, fathers, you don't matter. Go away now. You're not required here. Make sure you send the money, though. Christ.
Oh, yeah.
Just dirty bastards, man.
I mean, how true can that really be? Because, I mean, parents leave their, less than 5-year-old child with their own parents, the kid's grandparents, for, I feel like, a couple of weeks if they go on holiday or something, it happens. It's not like some terrible mind-destroying thing, is it? Is it? I mean, are there not more important
It's just some
factors?
hope of... Well, it's a hope of getting that information out there so that, people, maybe eventually the courts will use it and say, well, actually, this study shows that it's dangerous to put the child with the father, so just give the mother full custody. Maybe that's the hope, but it's always the same. Paint fathers as bad, but this article, she could easily have said, shouldn't stay with the mothers time, but she specifically stated mothers over fathers as if they're more important, and that really bugs me, as if mothers are just more important.
Oh, it's entirely
really annoying, man.
Isn't it? I mean, all of the media is like that. I mean,
psychologist Penelope Leach. There's a surprise that she's a psychologist. I know a lot of people hate me saying that, but I attack psychologists because this is the kind of shit they keep coming out with. They don't use real science. They use fake science in order to push their agenda. Whereas if a psychiatrist done this, he would be struck off for saying such a thing. But so there's a difference.
I bet this woman, if she was going to do a study on, say, Elliot Rodgers, she'd go back and go, oh, see, here we go. When he was 4, he spent 2 weeks with his grandmother when his dad was shooting a film out in the Mojave or something, and that is why he is now went on a psychopathic rage. I mean, it's self-evident, really. My research is completely valid. So that's what I think that sort of thing is. It's there are too many more important factors than whether they spend a bit of time with their other parent.
Mm-hmm. But, like how good the parent is for a start.
Yeah, exactly. Does the parent savagely beat them every day?
I mean, the dad might be a good dad, and the mum might be the type to lock them in a cupboard all day. But no, keep them with the mum because that's more important.
Well, not only that, like more subtle sort of psychological abuse, which I think would be a more likely thing to expect.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you want more reasons to respect women, there's another article I found, right? It's from the Mirror.
Just before we get into it,
sure.
Someone, Raging Golden Eagle, I think it was, said that Thunderfoot's new video mocking Anita Sarkeesian's up. I'm looking forward to checking that out. I didn't know that had come up. yeah, I will as well. While we're on it, there's a channel called Cool Hard Logic, which is just hilarious. It's the guy, whoever's doing it, he's basically he knows his science clearly and his physics, and he basically just proves why things like the moon isn't a holographic projection. But he also does it in an incredibly condescending way, which is just, I thoroughly recommend it.
What's his name?
Cool Hard Logic.
Cool Hard Logic. Okay, I've just wrote that in the comments so that I can remember that later on. There you go.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry.
There's another one. I mean, but just remember, before I tell you this, your level of respect for women is going to go through the roof, okay? You're going to really respect women after this. This is from the Mirror last week, a couple of weeks ago. Sugar Daddy University, a new course teaches sugar babies how to land a wealthy man. Professional sugar baby Carla Abonia has founded a course which includes lessons on sexuality, understanding, generosity, attraction, and reciprocity. I don't know.
Hang on, so this is PUA for women, is what we're saying?
Pretty much. I only specifically wealthy men. you know.
Yeah, but that's because that's the woman's equivalent of a 10 out of 10 woman, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, that's their 10 out of 10 man.
But just imagine going in for that course, you know. Imagine, it's not even that as well. It just shows you, it shows you what a lot of these women think of men, because it's just like,
Oh, yeah.
they don't even care if it's a good man or, you know what I mean, a nice guy or anything like that. They just want a man who's got money. It's the shallowest of shallow can get, you know. It's just disgusting.
And they didn't even check whether he was poisonous or not. You know, I mean, what kind of irresponsible...
But I think it's okay. I think it's okay to be a rich poisoned M&M.
Yeah, I suppose if you're going to be a poison M&M, get a rich one.
As long as you can buy her stuff. Christ, man.
Right. Did we want to have a look at some of those Agent Orange files?
I go for it. I don't have them here, but you'll have to just read them out
Yeah,
to me.
I'll read them out. I haven't. I've only looked at one of these, so I'm just going to choose one at random. There are fucking loads of...
Can we tell people what the Agent Orange files are for people who don't know?
Yeah, do you want to do that while I find a short one?
Well, I think, right, as far as I know, it's a guy called Agent Orange, and he went on to certain websites, and I believe he went on to private forums. I don't know if he went into private messages and stuff, but he went into private forums and basically copied all the things that these feminists were saying, and some of them were vile. I believe some of them were like calling children, young boys, future rapists and stuff like that. I think that's where it all came from. But I would like to add, though, right, that although it's good to go through all these, I'm against the idea of going through people's private stuff in order to, you know, attack them for it when these same people publicly say things that it's easy to attack. I'm kind of against that, because if you were to go through any private conversations I had, I'd probably be in serious trouble, because I'm quite sarcastic and I joke a lot, so a lot of things were written down and taken out of context. I'd be fucked, you know?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I just want to grab one that I definitely think probably wasn't taken out of context. Where is it? I just had it here. Oh, fuck, I can't find it now. Oh, yeah, this is it. There is nothing to give from a woman's point of view that has not already been taken by the male phallocracy. As a woman, I am done with giving to them. I mean, what the fuck is she talking about? What has she lost due to the phallocracy? I mean, these...
Obsessed with cock.
Yeah, I guess. Yes, she is. But I mean, this is from a forum called Women's Lives Matter and Women's Life Matters. So I mean, it's called radfemspeak.net. So I mean, Jesus Christ. But I've never really seen any of this sort of stuff before. I've seen, like, you know, the kill all men on Tumblr, because that's... But this is where they must have their private conversations and the sort of thing they talk about. You know? It's
But did some of these websites not get shut down over this as well? No.
Did they?
See, I get about it, but I think so. I think one of the main feminist ones, got shut down. Sure it did. After it was exposed to what these people were saying. But was it Radfem Hub? Is that still going about? Does that still exist?
I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea.
Again, I might be wrong on all this. I'm just going off kind of memories and don't really know a lot about it.
Hopefully someone can tell us. But yeah, okay. You know, I'm actually not going to go through any of these, because seriously, they're just so stupid. It's probably like what teenage boys actually say on teenage boy forums. You know, it's just like it's just pathetic. Yeah, I mean, check it out if you guys are interested. But seriously, I'd never seen this before, and I expected it to be a little more coherent, but it's it's pointless. Absolutely. Sorry, that was my entire thing. I've got nothing else now.
Oh, sorry. Well, I'll tell you about this article, another article that was, I think it may have been sent to me, I just can't remember who sent it,
Yep.
from the National Post. Kelly McParland, Vancouver School Board gender policy allows XE or XEM in place of he or her. British Columbia teachers have been at war with the province for more than a decade and are going to strike about these demands. A policy change aimed at accommodating gender identity and sexual orientation. It's fucking ridiculous, isn't it? Just want to be more victim groups.
What does XE and XEM, was it?
I think it's the chromosomes, possibly. I don't know. A last-minute amendment and mandated that XE, XEM, and XYR may be used in place of he, she, or him, her. These are sex-neutral third-person terms used to repair the failure of the English language to allow for 21st century gender sensitivities. Fuck's sake, man. Repair the English language because some people are offended by it. Tired of these people, so I am. Claiming to be offended all the time.
Oh, English, how could you have failed us so? Why didn't you come up with all these gender-neutral pronouns? Honestly.
It's not even that. They'll come up with new words to describe it. I remember Ricky Gervais talked about this, and he said that there used to be a spastic association to help spastics, and because children were being called spastics, they then had to change it, so they changed it to scope. And what did the children do? Well, they just call them scope then.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter what you change the words to, they'll just use the other words. It's always going to happen. They could maybe just stop being offended at words.
This is all because the actions define the word and not the other way around, which is why the feminists still can't. I still hear feminists saying, well, feminism's a dirty word in the media. And it's like, yeah, despite all the propaganda you guys put out that tries to make it sound good, you still sound like a fucking bunch of man-haters. And so nobody with half a brain wants to be dealing with you. That's the thing. That's why feminism is still considered to be some sort of distasteful thing in polite company. And they don't really seem to understand it. They seem to think that there's a media campaign against feminism. Sorry.
No, sorry, I was just saying it's clearly a hate movement, that's all. I mean, feminism, anybody can see this, but...
Right, I'm still looking at the Z thing. It's...
The Z thing?
Yeah, so Z is a replacement for he, and he, him, or he or her, So Z laughed, I called Zem. Zir eyes gleam, that's Zir's. Z likes Zimself.
Oh, for God's sake, man.
This is the most childish thing I have ever heard.
It's ridiculous, but absolutely ridiculous. It's like, it'll be these college students as well, when you think, aren't you there to learn? And this is what you're doing, complaining about nothing.
See, I've always been a proponent that not everyone needs to go to university. And this just backs up my argument. If you're going to university to learn how to make up childish languages, then you don't need to be going to university.
A lot of courses are rubbish, though. I mean, we had a course here in Britain a few years back. It probably still exists. You could get a degree in knowledge of David Beckham.
I was about to bring that up.
Having knowledge on David Beckham. It's ridiculous.
There's a surfing one as well. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate that surfing's a competitive sport, but I don't really think it needs a university course. It kind of debases the idea of academia, doesn't it? Oh, I did a surfing degree. I did a master's and I became a doctor of surfing.
Gender studies clearly shouldn't be there in any university. To me, it's ridiculous.
It's
just such a joke.
But
the things they promote, the ideas they push are just horrible. How can they not? How can people not? Like, for example, the right now in campuses, they're trying to claim that if you don't get explicit consent from a woman for sex, then it's rape. There's no grey area.
What?
Now it's obvious that to anybody who's ever had sex that you don't ever get explicit consent. In fact, that would be a real killer during, it would probably put everybody off.
Basically taking the piss with two lawyers in the room, signing and notarizing stuff.
But they know this, though. The realism, they know that you don't really get They know you don't get explicit consent, so they're trying to use that fact to paint men as these horrible rapists. So in other words, on a woman's whim, she can just decide, no, I didn't give him consent, and then he's a rapist, and that's just, people can't see that as wrong.
It's a way of attaining victim status and still having the one-night stand you wanted to have, and then everyone saying, oh no, it wasn't a one-night stand, you were actually raped, so you're completely, any guilt that you felt of it is completely absolved because he raped you. So, you're not.
Well, don't blame the victim. That guy the other day. There was that guy the other day who said that, I think he basically said that it's becoming a trend to be a victim of rape. Yeah. That it's seen as a badge of, get attention and stuff. He got a shitstorm for it, but still, I think he might be right.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely think he's right. It's like the ASBO, wasn't it? Let's brand all the, let's give a title to all the chavs who go around committing violent crimes. What's happened? Well, now they're treating it as a badge of honour. Now you need one to be cool, and it's like, oh, fucking well done, government. Don't bloody encourage them. And my favourite one was Frankie Boyle's "Just call it a gaybo and see how many people want it then." Which I think's fantastic.
That was a good one. It was a good idea.
Yeah, hang on. I did have some other stuff around.
Right.
How
about this one then from the Minority Report? From the Minority Report, Conservative News and Opinion. I think I might have mentioned this before, but rape culture wins. Feminists freak out after Miss Nevada dares suggest self-defense training for women. Did you hear about that one?
Yeah, I did hear about it, but only tangentially.
Well, she basically said, she was asked, they get asked questions. She was asked, what do you think, about the current epidemic of sexual assaults on college campuses? And nobody pointed out that bullshit statement. Nobody even pointed that out. But when she said, well, things like that show that women need to learn to defend themselves so that, the better chance of protecting themselves from this stuff, then feminists went nuts, basically saying she's encouraging rape culture, she's blaming the victims and stuff. And it's like, you can't even tell women, that you want them to be safe without being a bad person.
Oh, didn't Angry Aussie say it best when he said, "There's nothing women can do about it"? Women, they're not capable of doing anything for themselves, which is what every feminist has ever told me. So, I guess not. I guess not. I guess we're going to have to teach them not to rape.
Nobody treats women like children like the feminists do, though. They just give them no adulthood at all, and the things that they do,
It's insane. It's insane, and this is why they so quickly disown Margaret Thatcher, isn't it? Hard-working woman, takes responsibility for actions. She's not a feminist. She hurts women and she hurts single mothers. Was it the fat feminist on that thing I was taking?
Oh, God.
It's like, oh yeah. Disown her quickly.
You cannot get a better example. This is why they never mention Margaret Thatcher. They hate Margaret Thatcher because Margaret Thatcher, she's one woman and she crushes most of their arguments, most of the things they claim. She crushes it just by her existence, and they hate her. They never mention her. And she's also proof as well that women do fucking start wars, That's another reason they don't mention her.
Not only that, she just undermines the whole concept of feminism. If women can achieve and are not victims, then what have the feminists got? What are they gonna fight with? They've got nothing. So, no wonder they suddenly think that Margaret Thatcher is actually part of the patriarchy, which I suppose she is.
It's like a constant drip effect with these pawns in the feminist movement, I can see what their goal is. A lot of these women's groups get funding from the government. They want to keep that funding going, so they have to push this propaganda, and they get these pawns, the ones we make videos about, they get them to push the idea, and they just keep pushing nonsense after nonsense till we don't notice it anymore, and it's just drip. So it's drip, the World Cup is sexist, drip, fucking some actress didn't say she was a feminist, drip, rape culture, drip, constant, and it leaves the average person who doesn't know much about it thinking that, women are really oppressed because they've got a lot of issues to talk about, whereas all the issues to talk about are not issues.
with that actress one, I actually really enjoyed that. She just said that, I agree with the principles on paper, but I don't hate men. Wasn't it that she said that?
Shailene Woodley. What I think pissed him off is that it wasn't just that she said, no, I'm not a feminist because I don't hate men or that I love men,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it was that she clearly pointed out that there is not a sisterhood. It's women that cut each other down, and because she pointed this out, and it's true, it is women.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
she's a good-looking woman, so she'll come under a lot of fire in the media, and she notices that it's women that are saying all these horrible things about her. She knows there's not a sisterhood, and as soon as she points it out, that's why they don't like her. And the amount of abuse she got. She still thinks feminism discriminates, says Salon. She has a confusing excuse for feminism comments, and it's just all this constant pushing her. Please say you're a feminist. You must say you're one of us. And it's like,
But
I hope she never gets in.
I love that they're proving her point. By as soon as she's like, "There's no sisterhood. Women will attack each other." The feminists, who are majority women, go after her with knives. They're really going on. She can just sit back and go, "This is exactly what I mean." So yeah, they don't do themselves any favors, and they wonder why feminism's a dirty word in the media. My God.
Not in all the media though. Not in all the media.
Of course not. Not in the Huffington Post.
Aye, but people are starting to see it. It's getting too ridiculous not to mock now. Even the serious journalists are thinking we need to mock this because it's getting beyond a joke now.
Which is it's heartening, at least. I mean, there is something. At least there's sort of a popular pushback, and I just don't know why they'd feel the need to bring it into everything that they do if it wasn't a religion and they weren't trying to take over. Why would you?
Because I would ask the question, take Shailene Woodley. Why was she even asked at all if she was a feminist? Why is this even being asked? It doesn't make any... It's like, imagine you were watching an interview with, I don't know, Robert De Niro, and the interviewer said, "So, Robert, are you a men's rights activist?" You would think, that's a fucking crazy question. What are you asking him that for? So why are you asking Shailene if she's a feminist? Why the fuck does it matter?
Yeah, Psychological Cynic summed up this. One of us, one of us. That's exactly what feminism's like. The creepy fucking villagers who are all just like, no. Oh, God.
Is that not Wicker Man? Is that where that's from?
One of
us. That's fucking creepy, that film, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I see the feminists. And it's just, and just that everything leads back to feminism. And so you can become a feminist, and you can become a feminist. Everyone's a feminist. It's like, Christ, that's weird. That's really weird. Just, balmy. I'm just going to have a quick look through anything I've saved. See if there's anything interesting to bring up. If you've got anything else, I'm more than happy to hear it.
From the Mail Online, this is from 2012, but I just thought I'd point out, a new breed of piranha women who are preying on rich men to get them pregnant, warns lawyer. A lawyer claims wealthy men are being tricked into bed by single women who deliberately get pregnant because they view a baby as a career option, which it kind of is for women, by the way, because as soon as they've got that child, they've got the man's income. They really have got his money. There's nothing they can do about it. Yeah, they're called piranhas.
Well, I think that's a really apt name for it. I wonder what. I mean, I wish I had like a feminist response to that. But I mean, what would the feminists say to that? They wouldn't say that it's a strong, empowered woman just getting what she wants, because then she's not a victim.
Mm-hmm.
So what would the feminist response to that be to justify it? I suppose men earning all the money would be it, wouldn't it? It'd have to be that.
I seen a photo today. It was on Facebook, and it showed you two separate Jezebel articles, right?
I saw it.
One of them was talking about the pen for ladies, and the other one was talking about smartphones. And then the one for the pen for ladies says that the writer is being sarcastic. "Oh, thank heavens above, my feeble female hands were just struggling with those bulky man pens, taking the piss that they've made a pen for women." But yet in the other article, this person saying, My phone was clearly designed for someone with hands much, much bigger than mine, and I'm not the only woman with this problem. So, in one, they're ridiculing Bic for making a pen for women's small hands, and in another, they're ridiculing the smartphone maker for making a phone that's too big for women's hands. I mean, you cannot win with these people, man.
They're just so prone to contradicting themselves as the wind blows, isn't it? You know, it's like, oh, blowing east, right? I believe this for now. Turns the other way. No, I completely believe something contradicts what I've just said. And I don't know. I don't know how they don't feel silly all the time. Maybe that's where this.
I don't know why they need this label either. I don't know why they need this label to call themselves a feminist. You know, I wonder why it's so important to them. You know,
like a Christian calls themselves a Christian. I think it's. I don't know. It shows that you've had the same conditioning as the other people, I guess. It's like the whole social justice warrior movement, and I really, really hate people telling me how I should act towards other people. It is just it's pretty much the one thing I can think of that's guaranteed to turn me into a complete arsehole to someone, is them telling me how to act. It's you should be nice. Well, now I'm going to be a fucking cunt to you. Because
sometimes I think if I was one of the groups that they talk about, like they'll say something like, oh no, you shouldn't joke about those people or something like that, they take offence on their behalf. I would be thinking, no, gonna stop telling people to stop joking about me, They can joke about me if they want. Why am I not allowed to be part of comedy like anybody else? But they pick just victim groups and say, you can't joke about them, you can't joke about this or that, and it's like, it's as if they just want complete control of everyone's thoughts and actions.
Well, I really think that is actually what they want. Oh shit! Hang on, I'm going to get something. Sorry, I'm not prepared.
That's okay. Don't worry about that, man. Neither am I, by the way. I'm going through my bookmarks to see if there's anything interesting.
Did anyone see the 35 practical steps men can take to support feminism?
33 things ladies would like men to stop doing, but no, not that one. I've not seen that one, no.
Right, I've just posted it in the comment thing. It's just www.exojane.com. I swear to God, I was just reading it like, well, it may as well be 35 ways to become a better serf. It's just the most disgusting thing. I'll go through a few of them, right? Do 50% or more of housework because, just because it's high on her list of priorities, it should be high on your list of priorities. Do 50% or more of emotional support work in your intimate relationships and friendships. How we're going to quantify this is beyond me, but because she really cares and is emotionally invested in something, now you have to do that too. God forbid you're your own person, right? Number 3, consume cultural products produced by women.
What?
Well, the thing is that gets money into the hands of women, doesn't it? And so even if they're shit, if you're interested in, say, art, and you've got a picture by a man, and a picture by a woman, it doesn't matter how good the picture by the woman is. You now have to buy that so that woman makes some money. It's all about transference of wealth, really. The number 4 is easy. Give women space, which I'm pretty sure that everyone listening to this absolutely does.
Is that a metre square? Is that a metre square space?
Actually, yes. Many women walk around, especially at night or while alone, feeling on edge and unsafe. Being in close physical proximity to an unknown man can exacerbate this feeling. So, yeah, it absolutely is. I think that you really need to be about 10 meters away, like a good peasant. I don't think the aristocracy want to be able to smell you. And number 5, insert yourself in spaces where you can use your maleness to interrupt sexism. That's right. White knight for women when there are no women present. I suppose I could do that. I don't think I'm going to get invited anywhere anymore, but I think that is actually the point of it.
So your friend tells a sexist joke, and you're supposed to go, well, actually, come on, don't tell jokes like that. Is that what we're supposed to do? Be big killjoys?
Yep. That is exactly it. Be a woman when there is no woman present. Be a killjoy by proxy, is what they're saying. Number 6, it doesn't even have an explanation. It just says, when a woman tells you something is sexist, believe her.
Aye, right.
Because women don't lie.
No, never at all.
And and then there would be no chance that she may be misinterpreting this or have her own bias involved.
Well, look at that. Look at that Mike Buchanan interview the other day. You know, and he wasn't in any way sexist, and he was called sexist. You know what I mean? You don't even have to be fucking sexist to be called sexist. That's what they do all the time. So when they say something's sexist, no, I will not believe them because I witnessed it with my own fucking eyes that they just say anything's sexist when it isn't.
I think you need to remember that real life is sexist. Facts have got an anti-woman bias, haven't they? So, but no, I fully agree. It's fucking ludicrous. You know, the fact that she was like the host was just like, yeah, is that a good point? Do you hate women? And it's like, that's not a fucking good point. You know, that's not a good question. Why are you even entertaining this nutcase's question? You know,
because see if that went the other way, right? See if he was saying that. If he then said, "Oh, wait a minute, you're only saying that because I don't know, because you hate Chinese people," the interviewer would have been all over it, saying, "What are you talking about?" But yet, when she says you hate women, she was immediately going, "That's an interesting point. Do you hate women?" Even though the guy clearly never said one hateful thing about women, she still jumped on it and went, "That's an interesting point. Do you hate women?" Imagine, it shows you how incompetent she is to ask that question. Really incompetent.
If I was going to write a parody of an incredibly biased situation, that is exactly how I would have it done. You know, I'd be like, you know, have him have one side who I was trying to point out was getting the raw deal, making good factual points. He was the only one there with a notepad with information written on it, and then have other ones asking just absurd questions like, so is it in fact true that you hate black people? And then the moderator going, yeah, is that true? And the guy just, you know, obviously the person who's not the racist here, just going, that's stupid. But you know, it's like a joke. It's an absolute joke.
The feminists didn't need notepads or anything on it because they knew beforehand that they didn't need any facts. All they needed was personal anecdotes that weren't true in accusations of misogyny. That's all they needed into the debate. It's ridiculous.
That and bucket loads of feelings, which again they don't need to write down. So. On this number 7.
I feel unsafe because.
So go on.
I feel unsafe because some people in a car thought I was a prostitute. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? How does that make you feel unsafe?
I am pretty sure they were taking her off to the circus. I mean, thing is though, ultimately it's like if it doesn't really bear any resemblance to real life, then it doesn't matter how you feel really, because you're the one who's in control of your feelings. And if you're having feelings that are inappropriate, then that's not down to everyone else, is it? You know, and so that's what this woman's problem is. She's been drinking the feminist Kool-Aid, as Bain would say, and she's now absolutely certain that there's a rapist behind every corner. So, you know, it's where does it go?
Sad existence, a sad way to live your life. It's a sad way to live your life to picture every man as a potential, you know, rapist, when that man is actually more likely to save you if you were put in danger. You know,
exactly.
It's horrible.
But they need feminism, even though feminism is the cause of their current state of mind. Enough feminism will do it. I'm sure it'll fix it. But number 7 on this list, right? Totally agree with this one. Educate yourself about sexual consent and make sure there is clear, unambiguous communication of consent in all your sexual relationships. Now that doesn't need explanation. That's fine. That makes sense. Now, how the feminists go about that and how they go about defining it is what doesn't make sense. But I don't know. Did you see the thing about requiring a text message of a yes to consent to sex?
I seen an article where a mother told her son and his friends, you know, make sure you get a text message saying yes, so that she done this to protect her son. You know, she wasn't saying make sure you get consent for the women's sake. She was saying it for her son's sake.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, but this is the sort of the absurdity that this is good advice. Yeah, and that is very good advice. You know, it's something to back up that kid's position when she then turns around and accuses him of being a rapist because he made her go in doggy style rather than missionary or whatever that other woman was complaining about.
Oh, I switch rapist.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the switch rapist.
God.
But yeah, so it's just crazy that it's got to this point, isn't it? I mean,
Let me just post this article here, right? This is a
yeah.
link. It's from CNN.com. Again, this is the get a text saying yes before you have sex. Let's see if I can post this. Is it letting me? Ah, bollocks, go away. Kind of annoying that, man. Let's see. Come on now. Yes, there we go. Right, just put HTTP in front of that, whatever it is, and it'll take you to that article. And it's the woman saying, "Watch out for stupid girls. I tell my son they're trouble." And she's just, her concern is her son's away to college, and her concern is not, I hope he gets good grades. Her concern is, I hope he doesn't get falsely accused of rape. You know, that just shows you what it's like.
This is the world the feminists have wrought. It's like, oh, hang on a second. So put what before it? HTTP.
HTTPS, whatever it is.
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, get a yes text before sex.
But this is what a mother worries about, you know. And you would think
that's the founder of ESPN, a founding editor of ESPN magazine, and former vice president. So it's not like it's someone who is just some crazy Tumblr feminist. You know, it's not like someone whose opinion you could probably discount because they're a bit crazy.
No. And if you discount her opinion, you'll be racist anyway. She's wrote a book called "Say It Loud: An Illustrated History of the Black Athlete." You know, so she knows her stuff. She works in sports, and she knows that, especially in the sports field, maybe her son's interested in that. They're seen as jocks, you know, and they're stereotyped as being into raping vulnerable girls and stuff. It's ridiculous.
I'm sure they have rape parties. And for some reason, girls go to these rape parties.
It's a sign of the times, though, that, you know, that's what a mother tells her son when he goes to college. It's a sign of the times, because 10 years ago, she wouldn't have said that to him, you know, look out for false rape allegations. She wouldn't have, but now she's concerned because she knows it's a reality.
I'm amazed how they want to take the sort of the romance out of sex, though, because, I mean, you know, when I was a kid, it was all new and different and exciting, and, you know, it was all full of discovery. But now it's kind of like, well, we're going to need to get a text. Well, Christ, now we've formalized this. I mean, you know, now this is very much by the numbers, and I'm going to sign here. And
well, one of the things women always put on the list of the ideal man is spontaneity, and this breaks all that, because you can't be spontaneous if you have to stop midway through and go, right, hang on, I'm going to sign this, or going to say this into the camera or whatever. It's such a shame. I feel sorry for, you know, younger people in college who just want to have a healthy sex life, you know, because they're just being cornered everywhere they go, told that, hey, don't do this, don't do that, that's rape, this is rape, this, that, and it's horrible.
I mean, on the plus side, though, they are teaching men to be more analytical about women by forcing men to, you know, have a series of steps they have to go through, and, you know, right, I've got the text message, I've got this. They're forcing men to think of women not as something attractive. They're forcing them to think of them as a cost-benefit analysis, which ultimately isn't exactly going to end up helping women, is it? Because so much of women's strengths are based on the idea that men see them as like mystical, perfect beings. You know, so it's like that's one of the pillars of female power. You know, so I mean they're just shooting themselves in the foot. Someone asked. What we think of Belle Knox, the feminist porn star.
Belle Knox? Oh, I've never even heard her. I've got to say, I need to look her up now. Belle Knox. Feminist porn star? What the fuck's a feminist porn star? God. The hell is that? I'm put off already. Belle Knox, I'm a sexual person, and that's that. What is it? The Duke porn star is legally an adult. No, nothing.
Right, okay, I've got a
I don't know what makes her right. Well, I suppose in a way that.
Sorry, go on.
The official description well, feminism would mean she probably is. So she's doing what she wants with her body, you know. So
Yeah, but you
there's
can't
nothing
know
wrong with
that
that, is
the
there?
patriarchy didn't make her do it. That's the thing. The patriarchy
Oh, I'm
is
sure
what
they forced her.
encouraged her to do that. She's a sex object for men, which means that men are objectifying her, which is obviously patriarchy. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe
Especially, it's especially patriarchal that she gets a lot of money for it as well. You know, it's good of the patriarchy to throw money at her for doing it. You know, she's pretty though. She's got brown eyes. She's got brown eyes. I like brown eyes. So
Oh
she's
yeah,
pretty. She's pretty. But you know, I'd never heard her before that comment.
right. I'm just trying to.
Also, a while ago, a porn star committed suicide. I want to hear Sargon's thoughts on slut shaming of porn stars. If anybody slut shames porn stars, it's the feminists. I don't hear men.
Yeah.
I don't hear men slut shaming porn stars.
No, but that's because
You
they've got
know,
no
it's
plan on
feminists
marriage.
that try to make them feel guilty, and there's feminists that make them feel guilty and bad for what they're doing. You know, whereas they should be celebrating what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's I I can only assume that this comes from the fact that women ultimately want to get married, which means they're ultimately going to want a monogamous man in their life, even if they're feminists, and even if they say, I don't want that, you know. I think that subconsciously they do. And so if some woman's just running around giving away for free, or for a moderate price, then I can imagine they'll probably hate her, yeah. I mean, I've just found a
I
feminist
think a
blog
lot of women hate.
that's basically going on about how much of a dick she is for being a porn star, even though she says she's a feminist. And so, I mean, you know, they're going to descend on her like a pack of rabid wolves, aren't they? But,
So it's not her body, her rules. Then can she not do what she
no,
wants with her body, or don't know
it's
the
too
rules here?
patriarchal.
You know,
Men are enjoying
I
it.
think
She's enjoying it, and the
I
feminists
think
aren't getting.
a lot of women don't like porn because it's very easy for men. I mean, I've said before, some woman was having a go at me a while ago saying, you know, I can't get a woman, or that shaming tactic shit. And I said, you know, to be honest, I would rather have a wank. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather just have a wank because you're too much fucking hassle. I don't have the mental energy to deal with you, so I'd rather just have a wank. And that's why they don't like porn, because men can just go and have a wank and don't have
Oh
to give
yeah,
a fuck about women.
it's got far less risk attached to it, doesn't it? You know, so
Hmm.
you know the
Well,
worst thing that's going
there's
to happen is
no
cleans
chance
up the
of
carpet.
pregnancy. There's no false rape accusations. You know, there's no whining and dining. There's no speaking and getting to know them and all that crap. None of that.
And notice that the only way to make money out of a guy wanking is to be in an appropriate business relationship with him, rather than extort him for money because he made a mistake. He made the mistake of sleeping with you. You know, the only way to get money out of a wanking man is to sell him porn, and then he's a consumer. So, you know, he's got the power in the relationship there. So, yeah, I can completely see why feminists are anti-porn.
I think a lot of them are anti-internet. To be honest, a lot of women. I think a lot of women had a really difficult time adapting to the internet. But I noticed it when I first went on the internet, and you had women using tricks that would work in the real world, you know, and then try it online. Like I remember when I first went on the internet, I was arguing with this woman, and she
Yeah.
actually said to me, you know, you're scaring me right now. And I was like, I'm in
What?
another fucking country writing words. How the fuck can I be scaring you? You know, because that tactic probably worked in the real world for her all her life. Whenever a man hit her with some facts, she probably just went, "Oh, you're scaring me right now," and that frightened him away because he didn't want to be seen as somebody who's bullying women. Another thing that women don't like about the internet is they can't cut you off, you know, which is something they're very good at in the real world. So you get to have your say, and they can't interrupt your say. You know, there's nothing they have to hear your opinion, and they don't like that. They don't like that because they can't just shout over you and say no, 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 and then change the subject. You get to have your say,
I'm
and they
pretty
fucking
sure
can't
that
stand it.
I'm pretty sure the cases of internet post-traumatic stress disorder are really rising with young women these days. So, you know, you've probably committed some sort of crime there.
They'd be safer off the internet, to be honest, women. The way some of them talk, you know, oh, I got these threats and somebody said this. It's like, why don't you just stay off the internet then? Let everybody else enjoy it and you just go away.
Well, they're never going to do that, because then they'll be on their own whinging, and no one will be hearing their whinges. But yeah, I mean, I think it does seem like they're kind of arguing for some sort of apartheid system, where, you know, things that aren't, like, according to their sensibilities are kept separate. Like, I mean, like when they're saying, like, adverts. Oh, adverts have got such a terrible effect on young women. It's like, or the young women could just say, you know what, I'm gonna chance not having that kind of makeup and see how I get along. And don't get me wrong, I understand that young girls are, you know, easily influenced, but rather than complaining that they're there, because you've got no right to tell someone what to not pay for on a billboard, as long as it breaks no rules of decency, and no laws and whatnot, and we do have laws to govern that, then just tell them, look, just think about it for yourself. You know, that's just it. Just think about it for yourself. And I'm pretty sure that they will. Or maybe that's me being patriarchal.
Well, that's the hope, but I think you're being hopeful, you know.
Well, I mean, maybe.
Being hopeful.
I was always raised to think that women were intelligent, functioning adults. So then I found out about feminism.
Only when it suits them. Only when it suits them.
Yeah, it's.
I see that list you read out earlier on.
Yeah.
I think number 1 was something about do half the housework or something like that, right?
Yeah, that was
you know, I mean, I've mentioned it before, but it bugs me that work that gets done in and around the house that men do, like taking the trash out, gutters, gardening, fixing shelves, you know, all that kind of stuff. They don't mention that as housework. They only mention the housework that they do. So they want the men to do half of the housework that they do, but he's still to do all the housework that he does that they don't call housework. How convenient.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's because they're not doing it. Therefore, it's not work in their minds. Like, there are a couple more on this list that they're just absolutely amazing. Hang on, there's there's some of them just depressing. Well, you know, number 15. Don't be an online bystander in the face of sexism. Be a white knight on the internet as well. So there was one that was you should always pay for contraceptives because women they earn 23% less, and then another one goes down and goes, you know what you should do is donate 23% of your income to social justice warrior charities, because 23% sounds like a lot, isn't it? But that's what women are missing out on, and it's just like, fucking hell.
Well, see when they say that if you see sexism online, you should intervene, right? What they're actually saying is, these poor, delicate women can't handle words. So if you see some nasty, bad words, you as a man have to go in and defend a woman online against words. That's what they're saying. Whereas I think women are stronger than that. They are better than that. They can deal with words and no else. They're also able to use their own words to say stuff back. But so there's no need for white knighting on the internet at all. That's very disrespectful to women, I think. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, you know, if I were a woman, I'd just be offended as all fuck that some guy who didn't even know me had the temerity to defend my position. I'd be like, how would you know, even if you were right? But number 26 on this list was my favorite, right? It is exactly what the feminist movement is going for. Number 26, find female mentors/leaders, i.e. be subordinate to women. I mean, there's no euphemism there. Be subordinate to women. If you are seeking a mentor or want to volunteer in an organization, go with a woman or a woman-led organization. Know that there is a lot you can learn from women in positions of authority. All right, okay, great. At least we've got it out in the open now. You know, that's what you're after. Got it.
But as we pointed out earlier, when we do recognise women of power like Margaret Thatcher, they ignore them, you know, because they're not the right type of women in power for them. You know, so we do support the women of power, but when we point them out, you know, they just cry about it and say, oh, no, she doesn't count. She doesn't count. Like, Margaret Thatcher doesn't count. One of the best examples ever. How can she not count?
Yeah, they've... I didn't even think of it like that either. Yeah, that's exactly true. Exactly true. You know, just feminist leaders. You know, the ones that tell you to kill all men.
I'd love to have seen Margaret Thatcher in her prime taking on these feminists, in the House of Parliament. Some of them stand up and utter this bullshit. I'd love her to take them on,
like
because
Oxford University when they give a talk.
She would destroy them.
Yeah, absolutely.
She would destroy them.
And it'd just be the Did I tell you about the one about Israel Finkelstein saying the Holocaust has become an industry now and it's got to stop, and then some middle-class white girl university student stood up and goes, "I'm so offended that you're saying this," and he's like, "Look, love, right? I don't care how offended you are. Most of my family got killed in the Holocaust, so shut up and listen." And everyone's just, applauding him, and she's just looking like the world's biggest tit. And it's just like, what did you think you were doing? Middle-class American white girl, never had a problem, not Jewish. Why would you think to start trying to dress down someone who has lost his entire family in the Holocaust and yet is still saying this has become an industry, we need to look at it in perspective? So, I mean, I don't even know what was going through her mind,
It's one of those examples of somebody saying something to make themselves look good, not because they believe it. Yeah. So when she said that, she probably didn't know that he lost family, and she thought, oh, hang on here, I can make myself look like I'm not anti-Semitic, and I'll stick up for the Jews, a victim group. Watch me look brilliant here. And then she opened her mouth, just like the woman who says, oh, you can't tell jokes about rape. She thinks she's some hero, but they're just making a complete arse of herself.
She is speaking out, though. I mean, against rape culture and the patriarchy. So, I've liked this group on Facebook called Professional Privilege Checkers Incorporated, and they're fucking brilliant. And they just post occasional clips and stuff from Tumblr, and one of them is, the reason guys play video games all the time is because it's stimulating enough and holds a lot of cognitive attention to distract men from rape urges. Which I think is probably true. Man. I think that's probably true.
I mean, of course. I mean, that is the whole reason I play Grand Theft Auto 5 quite a lot, and that's the only reason I play it, to prevent myself from going out and raping loads of women. I'm just getting ready to go out and rape women, and I think, no, video game time. Leave the women alone. It's just they're just
that's why I play
paint men as the worst people. That's why what?
That's why I play Rome, because I'm actually thinking maybe I'll get my mates together and go sack a city full of women and rape them all. But then I think, well, I could just do it from the comfort of my own living room.
Oh, why Rome?
It's not.
I mean, I bet you. I mean, I've never played Rome. I've never played Rome, but I know what kind of game it is. But I'd be willing to bet that most of the people that die in that game are men, just like every other game.
Yeah. See, this actually, right, I'm glad this has come up, because this is something I really want to have a bit of a fucking rant about, because it's something I'm going to do a video about in the very near future, right? One thing I am sick of hearing fat manginas say, and it's not just like random fat manginas on the internet, it's big video game websites. And this is the sort of thing that is eventually going to get me blacklisted from making video games. No one will cover anything that I make, but I don't give a fuck, right? Because this pisses me off more than anything. The stat I keep hearing is 48% of gamers are female. And then they go, well, since now 48% of gamers are female, we have to make all... this is the Assassin's Creed thing, where they only had male characters. It's just a follow-on from that. And they're like, well, no, everything has to have a woman in it now because 48% are female. And so I did find some statistics, and I haven't got them up at the moment, but I'll do a video specifically on this, because these are statistical breakdowns of it. But if you look at like the Call of Duty Facebook page, it's 90-odd%, 93% male, obviously. And if you look at like the Candy Crush page, it's like 80% female. And so them saying, oh, 48% of gamers are women, it's like, okay, that might be vaguely true, but it really misses out a lot of nuance, doesn't it? Because how many of those Candy Crush players also own Call of Duty? And I know it sounds remedial to say it, but this is what they are fucking saying, which is driving me crazy.
Well,
it's
as
if. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, they're using this statistic that 40-odd% of gamers are female, but anybody who plays games knows that there is a difference between, well, Rome, like you're playing, and flinging some birds at some pigs. on your smartphone on the bus, which is
Yeah.
what women are more likely to do. Women don't play Rome, or I'm not saying none of them do, but come on, the
Yeah,
majority
it's
of
not.
players of those games are going to
It's
be
not.
male, you know. And
I
I'd be
play
willing to
online
bet
and
that if you walked
my
up to
friends, it's men.
if you walked up to any woman, right, take 10 women, the first 10 women that walked past you, and you said to them, "Excuse me, what's the new Assassin's Creed game called?" None of them would be able to tell you,
No,
you know, because
not
women
at all.
don't really play those games.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're
What's
not
the
gamers.
average
We need to
Assassin's
we need
Creed
to
player?
make a we need to make it. How many actual real gamers are women? And let's not count the casual games on the smartphones because they don't count.
See, that was actually their next argument in line, where they were like, "Oh, are you saying that Candy Crush isn't a real game?" And yeah, I am, but I think it's more of an interactive wallpaper.
Yes.
But seriously though, they're like, well, there was a time when I don't know something else, it's just some, like Mario or something wasn't considered a real game because everyone was playing Doom, and it's like, I don't even care. I don't even care if you're going to then say Candy Crush is a real game or Farmville is a real game, because ultimately they're not getting the same budgets. Nobody is spending their money. The same people are not spending the money on Farmville and then on Call of Duty or Rome. It's obviously they're very
No.
clearly male focused and female focused, and I'm sick of this kind of 48% of women. Gamers are women, so now all games must be catered towards them. No, you're not getting their money, and it's not because there are no women in the game. It's because women don't like sneaking up and assassinating people. They like growing their crops
What's
in
annoying
Farmville.
is what's really annoying is, right, if you look at the history of games, right, now it's considered quite cool to be a gamer, right? But see, years ago when when we used to play games, it was women and girls that used to look at boys and say that they were childish playing stupid games.
Yeah.
But now that they're popular, they
Mhm.
want us to embrace them into the gaming world, and it's like, well, for years you've slagged us off for playing games, putting us down and calling us geeks and nerds and all that kind of shit, and now all of a sudden it's becoming trendy. You want to be a part of it, and we have to welcome you with both arms. I don't think so.
Yep, absolutely. Who put their money into forming this industry? I mean, I personally have probably spent thousands of pounds worth of money on games over the years, and then you've got literally these social justice warriors who haven't really done that. And they've spent $3 on Candy Crush. Oh well, I mean, maybe we should modify the industry to suit your needs because you spent such a fucking lot of money on it, And
We need to ask why. Why do they need as well, right? Like if I'm playing against, say, Grand Theft Auto, right? Now, I'm not American, but I can still enjoy the game.
oh
I'm
no,
not black.
no, you
I
can't.
can still play. I can still play the game as the black character without thinking, "Oh, I'm not being represented here." Why do they need it to be a woman? I mean, it's like, what? Why is this important to them? And it's not important, of course. They're just rattling on about it to make it seem, again, drip drip, to make it seem like women are really oppressed by constantly saying everything is sexist.
Tomb Raider being the ultimate example of this, where the main character is only a woman, and yet it was predominantly played by teenage boys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I
Who
understand.
then get called perverts by the women because Lara Croft wore tight shorts. So women were saying at the time, "Oh, men are perverts." Like, did you see how bad the
Yep.
graphics were? How can you get off to that?
Oh
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. There are like 6 triangles that make up her tits. It's just like, oh yeah, this is something I'm about to go whack off to. I mean, oh god, I don't even know how I can think about it. But it drives me crazy. And then the thing is, and it's like the gameplay is like, right, what's she do? She runs around jumping between platforms, shooting things, and like swimming under things. Do you think that like mid jump, the guy's just staring at her poorly rendered backside? As if the game is the gameplay doesn't count, and it's just like
And another thing regarding that statistic of 48% gamers are female, right? Is I don't know if you watch these, but something that I watch a lot is speedruns, right? I love watching speedruns, right? And I honestly, the only one time I can think of a woman doing it was when she was doing a speedrun with a guy. The two of them were playing some 2-player game together.
yeah.
And I honestly, it's always guys that are doing these speedruns. It's clearly more men are interested in games, real games, than women.
Yeah.
You know, you don't see a lot of women doing speedruns. I really can't think of one.
I think it's because ultimately men don't really care if they lose. And I mean, obviously you care. I mean, it's, you know, you, especially if you've put a lot of work into it, but you accept loss as a part of the competition. Whereas whenever I've seen women competing, and I know this is very general and it's just an anecdote, but I swear, whenever I watch women competing, when they lose, they then despise the game rather than the fact that they lost.
Yes.
It's not that they did something wrong or someone else, you know, there's something they could have done better. And some women will, you know, don't get me wrong. But a lot of women, I think, are very mollycoddled and didn't do enough sports, you know, or something like that. And so the loss itself is really, I don't know, it seems to affect them in a different way than it affects me. So I don't know.
Well, I've noticed a difference. I've noticed a difference regarding my son is when it comes to playing games. Right now, when he was really young, obviously I would let him win, you know, just to let him get used to the game. But now he's 5 now. I don't let him win anything, right? And he really hates the fact that I don't let him win. I recently got a small, you know, air hockey table type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just will not let him win, and to the point where he was almost crying, and I said to him, son, why are you getting so upset? Because I can win against everybody else. And then I went through all of the people who he plays games with, all women, you know,
Yeah.
and they let him win. And I had to explain this to him. I said, son, they're letting you win because they don't want you to feel bad. I'm not going to let you win because I want you to get better. But it really frustrates him. And I remember one time he was playing Mario Kart, right?
Yeah.
And there was a woman there. Anyway, he was playing Mario Kart with another couple of people, and he was getting beat, right? And the woman that was there then said, oh, hey, come on, let him win. And it just pure annoyed me, you know, because it was like, no, don't let him win. Let him get beat and realise that getting beat is part of life. You don't win everything. You have to earn it. But a lot of women do that. They mollycoddle. They think that you need to feel good after having played the game, but you can still lose and feel good. You just don't like losing, but you still feel good having played the game. But a lot of women don't really get that.
What I don't understand is where they think the pleasure from victory comes from. And for me, it comes from the fact that I've lost so many times before. You know, if I keep losing, and then I win. Holy shit, that's exciting!
You need the rain to appreciate the sun, type of thing. You need to lose to appreciate winning. You know, it's
exactly.
It's very important. I think to lose very important.
Sorry, say again.
I just think it's the right thing. It's a good thing to lose. You know, it's a good thing to know that you can't win everything all the time.
Well, that's how you know what level of skill you're at. Personally, you can't if everyone, like Bill Burr was saying, you know, there's this torrent of misinformation. If everyone's telling you, oh yeah, you constantly, you know, if everyone's just giving you what you want, then how are you going to really know? But yeah, seriously, I'd be really offended if people gave me the victory when I was playing a game with them. I'd be like, what was the point? I didn't play to let you, you know, for you to let me win. That just sullies my victory. So don't take that away from me, you bastard. You know, the fun part is the fact that I might not win.
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing if you lose. If you're the type of person, it will just spur you on to do better and make you stronger. But if you're the wrong type of person, it will heavily affect you, and you'll need therapy. You know.
Yeah. It's fucking. There's so much wrong with the world these days. It drives me crazy. But coming back to the gaming thing, the 48% statistic is being bandied about irresponsibly, frankly, and it's really pissing me off. And it's pissing me off because I keep an eye on the gaming industry because I'm making a game. So it's doing my head in. But on the plus side, we did actually.
But you know that when people see that. When people outside the gaming world see that statistic, they will take that as games. They won't see it like we see it, different types of games. They will think, oh wow, women do play a lot of games, when in reality they don't.
Yeah, exactly. You know, exactly. People who don't play games will think that Farmville is the same as Assassin's Creed. So, yeah, And the thing is, it's one of those things that I couldn't get this information. It took me ages to find the statistics breakdown. I could find that it was 48%, and it really took me a long time. And I found it on a blog post titled something like "Demographics that every game developer should know," where it actually went down into the actual numbers, rather than just saying, "Oh, half of gamers are women. They spent X amount of money on Candy Crush," or they spent X amount of money, and men spent Y amount of money. But yeah, it wouldn't tell you where they were spending it. It was just taking games as a monolith, as if all games are the fucking same. So it's just like the pay gap, really, isn't it? They think that all jobs should pay the same.
What do you think of Miss Pac-Man? Do you think that came about because of women pissing and moaning? Because they see Pac-Man and think, "Oh, hang on a minute here. What do you mean Pac-Man? That's sexist." We demand the yellow dot, the yellow ball that eats dots be female. It wouldn't surprise me, by the way. It really wouldn't surprise me at all.
Oh yeah, it's like herstory.
I just don't understand this. Well, you are working on a game right now. Now, what steps, if you had to say you wanted to appeal to women, what the hell are you supposed to do to appeal to women? Make it pink and put female characters in it? I don't understand.
No, I can't with mine. The problem in my game is that it requires tactics, and that's just not really the sort of thing that appeals to the female demographic. I know that sounds awful. But when you look at like Rome and Civ, yeah, exactly. Sorry, it's just it's not. I'm not going to be looking at women as my target demographic. I mean, we did some Facebook advertising, and we started exactly as all corporations start, just like Lego. You know what I mean? We started just doing blanket. We'll just put like an advert up with a picture, and just see how many people click on it. And we did our first one, and it turned out that 98% of the people who clicked on this were male, between the ages of about 15 and 25, something like that. And so, obviously they are the people we started targeting our advertising at, and it's the patriarchy, isn't it? Obviously, but it's the results bearing themselves out. I'm going to then tailor my game towards that demographic, because obviously they're the ones who are interested. I'm not going to try and sell it.
But what if, say some big developer came along, right, and liked your game, said, right, we want to run with this, we want this done, but what you have to do is we want you to appeal to women more. I mean, seriously, right, without telling you what you have to do, what could you do? It's a ridiculous idea, but yet these women keep on saying, there's a lot of games don't appeal to women. But how are you supposed to appeal to women? What's going to make women want to play a game they don't want to play?
I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. It's like, how would you get guys to play Farmville?
Farmville. How would you get guys to play that? Oh, God.
Command and Conquer Farmville, wouldn't it? You're building up your sheep and your cows so you can have 500 soldiers, so you can go and conquer someone else's farm, surely, right?
Aye. You can go and take over someone else's farm, aye.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
That would make it a wee bit more interesting, I imagine.
Yeah, exactly. Suddenly you're thinking, well, actually, that doesn't sound so bad, I mean, it's like a game called Grepolis, which is, or like Travian, these sort of browser-based, very slow-paced, but when you're at work, you have a quick bash in it, stuff like that, and that's basically like Farmville for guys, and it's.
I've always seen Sims. The Sims is the ultimate female game. The Sims. What do you think of that? It's a good game, by the way, but it's totally for women.
I think that was actually on the example of statistics that I was looking at the other day. But yeah, again, 75% women, and there we go. Because it's about interpersonal relationships, and it's not about conflict and violence and competition. It's about existing, I guess. Laura S has
and
just
only
said,
women are going to like a game where you go and take a piss. What about Minecraft? I've never played Minecraft. I've never played Minecraft, but I heard an interesting fact. I don't know if anybody watches Vsauce, there's Vsauce, Vsauce 2, Vsauce 3, YouTube channels, right? Anyway, they done a video before to see which game character can carry the most weight, right?
Right, yeah.
And they said it was the character in Minecraft, because he can carry like the weight of 3 moons or something like that. You know, it was quite an interesting video. But he's the character in Minecraft can carry the heaviest amount than any other game's character can carry.
Well, I mean, honestly, I imagine Minecraft has got the same number of women playing it as a buy Lego. To answer Laura's question, I think they fulfill the same urges. You know, you feel like the need to build something. You know, and so when you're a kid, you had your Lego, but I think kids now have Minecraft.
Well, the only person I know who plays Minecraft is a young girl. She's about 10. That's the only person I know who plays Minecraft. So, and she loves it. But
absolutely.
It's certainly not for me. Not my kind of game.
No, that's the thing. I'm not saying that women can't enjoy these things. I'm just saying, on average, women don't. You know, and this is another thing. It's like, but you know, as if saying, well, women don't really seem to enjoy this, and therefore women aren't allowed to enjoy it or something like that. And it's just like, who thinks that someone else has the right to tell them what consumer goods to enjoy? I mean, that's so weird. You know, if I like dressing up in girls' clothes and buying Barbies, even if people were telling me not to do it, I would fucking do it. Because it's what I enjoy in the privacy of my own home. You know, it was my money. I spent it. I'm going to do it. So I can't understand this sort of told not to buy things. It's just doesn't matter.
Could you imagine men doing that though? You know the way women say, "Oh, we need to make games more appealing to women." Could you imagine men would hang on, make Sex in the City or Desperate Housewives more appealing to men? It would just. It would just be so ridiculous, you know, that even the thought of it is just ridiculous.
Someone commented on my my video about the 3 women and that guy, saying that there are no women trying to break the glass cellar, are there? And he's absolutely right. You know, they don't.
No.
You know, if it's something shit or if it's something that is already women dominated, then they don't feel the need to try and get men into that. God no, why would they need to do that? That'd be ludicrous. You know, it's things that haven't got any women in that they need to get women into, not men into, and the other way around. And it's just
because they think if there's more women in a field than men, then men don't need any help because of the patriarchy. If men wanted to get into that field, they would just go into it. Apparently, that's how it works. I think so. That's why men don't need any assistance. But this obsession with numbers as well. Like having to have so many women and so many men and so many minorities, and why does this matter so much to people, this diversity idea? I mean, how can these people not just go to work or college or whatever and just get on with their lives? Why are they obsessed with how many other women there are or how many other minorities there are? It makes no sense to me, but maybe because I'm privileged and I just don't see it.
Maybe it's something down to like hypoagency, where they need to get in other people's spaces to pacify them and make them feel safe. Because if they don't feel safe, then they don't have any kind of control over these spaces, and therefore they don't know that the emotional equivalent of Genghis Khan and his Mongol hordes won't come pouring out of them at some point in the future. You know, I mean, I obviously metaphorically, but I think that's what they're worried about. Honestly, when it comes right down to it, they. You know, like a woman has to go into like the working men's clubs. It's like, why? Well, my husband's in there. Yeah, exactly. That's why he's in there, because he can't get away from you. It's like, yeah, but I need to go in there to make sure you're not doing anything I disapprove of. It's like that's precisely why they have working men's clubs. You know.
I've worked a lot of jobs that are man jobs, and see the women that do those jobs. It's them I feel sorry for, because they're not the ones who complain about the numbers of women. They're just doing the job and getting on with it, you know, but it's the women that don't do it. And I always find that crazy as well, looking into a field that you didn't try to get into and then claim that there's not enough people from your group in that field. It's like, but you didn't try to, you didn't try. Why are you complaining about the lack of women when you didn't try? It's very annoying.
Oh, I always feel that way about politics. every time I have a conversation with a woman about how there's a lack of representation of women in politics, I'm always like, what are you doing standing here? What are you doing working in an office? Oh, it's because it's an easy job, and being a politician would be a difficult job, isn't it?
And why did women?
That's
Why did women
ultimately
vote for that politician? Why did women vote that man in?
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. It's like you can be represented by someone who doesn't necessarily look exactly like you. I mean, I don't really feel represented by any politician.
I would say that if you use a bit of logic, that if you have 51% of the vote, then you have all the power, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, if women were to vote as a bloc, they would, yeah. But but yeah,
if they were all the same, yes.
Male politician. If they're so bothered about it, don't vote for male politicians. And if women do vote for male politicians, maybe they're not voting for genitals. Maybe they're voting for policies.
But then they'll complain again, and they'll say, if you point out that there's not a lot of women go into the field, they then complain that they're not encouraged, without realising that if you need to be encouraged, you're probably not going to be a good politician. They don't understand the connection there.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to go into something that you want to go into, regardless of other people's encouragement or discouragement. Exactly.
Right, give me a minute, right? I'm away for a piss, but I can still hear you, right? 2 seconds.
Well, actually, I'm going to go grab a cup of tea if we're going to go on for another, say, hour or so, if you're cool. Well, sorry, everyone, we're taking a 2-minute break so I can get a drink, and Goodfella can take a piss, and I promise that those two activities are not related. Back in a sec.
Am I still on here? Let's see, you need to check the thing to see if you can hear me or not. Not sure. Is it live? It's still live. I'm on. Right, okay. Okay then, looks like I'm on. Live, here we go. Aye. Me pissing and him having tea was not related. Oh well, so he thinks. So we've seen these anti-bullying wristbands. Has anybody seen them? I've got one of them anti-bullying wristbands. I stole it off a 4-eyed girl in a wheelchair. Isn't that terrible? Isn't that absolutely awful? So has anybody in Britain played the new supermarket simulator? No? It's quite disappointing. There's no co-op mode. Only people in Britain will get that joke. So five fonts go into a bar, and the barman says, "Get out, we don't serve your type in here." Oh, that's terrible. Let's see what other articles are there now. Right, Lana Del Rey, right, she's another one. She's another one of these women who dares to say she's not interested in feminism. Feminism, I'm more interested in space travel. She's a singer. She says she believes that a true feminist is a woman who feels free enough to do whatever she wants. How dare she? But this is another woman who is not a feminist, and that is obviously disgraceful that Lana Del Rey is not a feminist. But again, this is another one on the radar, time to attack her because she claims she's not a fucking member of a hate group. Unreal.
Which is exactly the response I would expect from a hate group.
Exactly. Is that tea you're making?
I don't know what else I would do to figure it out.
Were you making tea there?
Yeah, I just got a cup of tea. Yeah. I'm English, and I don't have a drip.
Was it the heterosexual way? Was it the heterosexual way? Did you put the milk in first, or was it the gay way? Did you put the milk in last?
It was the gay way. Look, you get more out of the tea bag if you don't put the milk in first, okay? And I kind of like a dick in my ass.
Ah. I put the milk in first, but I use the spoon to hover the tea bag above the milk while I'm pouring the water in.
See,
so it's not in the milk while I'm pouring the water in. See?
That's work, though. You know, my whole life is just one big exercise of trying to cut out extraneous work. Which is actually, that's really why I get so pissed off.
I was thinking of getting a teapot to save me the time.
Sorry?
No, I was thinking of getting a teapot to save me a lot of time going to the kettle all the time for tea.
I actually really want a teapot. I went on holiday with my missus a while ago, and we went to just, one of those crappy like camper van places because I'm poor, and they had a metal teapot in there, and I'd never had a teapot before, so I thought, oh, this will be, fun, haha, won't I? I'll use a teapot like my dad. And my God, now I see why he uses a teapot. It's amazing. You've got a hot cup of tea sat there with no hassle. It's something I really need to get for this sort of thing, in fact.
Makes your tea bags last longer as well.
Yeah.
Because I use one tea bag per cup. Oh.
Yeah, me too.
I get through them.
Yeah, I waste them. But there we go. That's British people talking about wasting tea for you. I hope the Americans are enjoying this.
Listen to this article here, right? This is from the Business Insider in India, right? Women are using Rent-A-Gent to hire men to do chores and go on dates. Funny, they don't say prostitution here, but what can't money buy? A service called Rent-A-Gent lets women choose a male companion from a list of smart and handsome men. For $200 an hour, men can serve as handymen, dates, or personal chefs. The only rule, the relationship can't get physical on the clock. So they can be paid afterwards off the clock.
Right, okay.
Still prostitution, isn't it? It's renting a man. There's no sex involved, so okay, it's not prostitution, but it kind of is.
Ultimately, though, this is exactly what I'd expect from feminism. This is exactly what I'd expect. This is like women's prostitution. They want a guy who's going to help around with the housework and then take them out for a nice meal. And because they don't have that, because they're out working and being career women, they've got to then spend some of the resources that they should have, instead of trying to accumulate loads of money to pay a guy to do it, they could have invested the time in another man without, they could have skipped the money part. Mm-hmm. And you skip the career, the unfulfilling, soul-destroying career, and they could have invested their time in a man who would then do that for free, but they're too stupid to think of that, I suppose. Or they're so obsessed with money. I don't even know.
I've seen this in Japan as well. In Japan, there's a lot of women there who they just can't get a man, and yet they're very successful and pretty. Well, they're Japanese. They're the prettiest women in the world, I think, and. But so they go to these clubs where they pay men just to basically hang around with them, and it's so sad, but yet in a way they've brought it on themselves, Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's odd, but you feel sorry for them, but at the same time they brought it on themselves, so you don't.
But it's just so darkly comedic because, all right, what do you want? Oh, I really want to earn loads of money. It's like, okay, well now you're earning loads of money. What do you want? I really want a man to hang out with me. And it's like, so that was your ultimate goal? Yeah, it was actually, yeah. And it's like, right, so now you're going to have to pay a man to hang out with you because you're such an unlikable person, or you haven't spent any time on a man. So, I mean, you're back to where you started, but there was a lot of extra work in the middle there to get back to where you already were effectively.
The problem for women like that as well is they can be rich and successful, but that doesn't actually help them get a man. This doesn't.
Absolutely.
It's not something. And women marry up. They tend to marry and date up. So she doesn't want the woman who's done well for herself doesn't want a man who earns the same as her or more, or less. Sorry, she wants a man who earns more. So that's even fewer men to choose from. It's just. They dig the hole themselves.
But not only that, the only men they're ever really realistically going to get are ones who are obviously lower status than them, and that means a man who's got less motivation. He's probably less intelligent. you know, like the surfer dude sort of thing, you know. And he's like, oh, she's going to pay for everything, and she's all right looking. I'm pretty easygoing. Then fine, I'll go for it. But she's never going to respect him. And so,
Well, that woman off, what's her name, Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
exactly what, she was saying that in an interview. You know, that she's doing well for herself and she's intelligent, but the only guys she can kind of get on and meet is the, like you say, the surf dudes, the dumber ones.
Yeah,
you know, they're only good for one thing. So she can't get the man who has higher status because there's not a lot of them.
My heart weeps. You know, I'm just internally I'm weeping. But do you know the Young Turks really piss me off, right? Because I like, who's the big fat guy in it? You know, the huge.
Cenk.
Yeah, right. I like him, and don't get me wrong. I'm sure that there are plenty of people who hate him, and fair enough.
I'm one of them. By the way,
if you guys want to, I don't care.
I really don't like him at all. I really don't like him at all.
Okay, why
only because he said. Well, because when they were talking about a boy, I think he was 14, who was sexually molested by a woman in a position of authority, he called him lucky and said that he was whining, that he was complaining about it. And I think that's just disgusting.
This is exactly what I was going to say, in fact, right? Because the Young Turks, when they're talking about their own government, they've got a very level-headed, by and large, a level-headed approach to it. And so when Cenk does, like, he does these monologues, like 10, 15-minute monologues, where they've obviously done the investigative journalism, and they lay it out in a very concise, logical order. They've really gone into depth and found out who was doing it, and then what they did behind the scenes, and who funded it, and what all led up to it. And they make a really solid case for, say, like anti-corruption or something like that. And then, like you say, as soon as something like a woman a female paedophile has raped a teenage boy, oh, he's lucky. And it's like, for fuck's sake, man! You know, that's not. He can be so good in some aspects, and then such a twat in others. It really drives me crazy. I mean, yeah, like there's no excuse for an adult having sex with a child, regardless of gender. You know, it's you know, informed consent and all that. The feminists are the ones saying all this shit. Why don't they actually, you know, put it into practice? But yeah, so that's what pissed me off about the Young Turks. And like I saw Anna Kasparian's shindig where she was going on about the men's rights movement and stuff, and I was just like, you know, and I'm not even gonna. I was gonna do like a video response to it or something like that, but I thought, you know, there's no point, because everyone knows how wrong she is if they know anything about the men's rights movement, and this is coming from someone who isn't part of the men's rights movement. Although every fucking feminist I've ever spoken to tells me I am. So maybe I am. You know, maybe I am, even though I don't think I am. And yeah, drives me crazy. See,
that happens a lot though. Boys being told they're lucky when they've been abused, but that's something I really don't like. Bugs me, man.
See, a lot of people like, fuck the Young Turks. They reek of liberal propaganda. Workful, and you know what? They do, right? They do. But the thing is, in some aspects I'm very liberal, and in some aspects I'm very conservative. It depends on the topic in question. You know, and in most, I try to consider myself a centrist of some sort. But yeah, like they're saying, this is what pisses me off about the Young Turks. It really is. But sorry, yeah, I did just, you know, I can totally see why people think he's a twat. But the thing is, in other regards, he does a very good job.
It's, even during that time when he was saying that, even Anna said that he was out of line, you know, for saying it. But
yeah,
it's one of those things that a lot of guys will say it in order to, I don't know, be one of the lads, you know. And but the thought of saying that about a girl in the same position is in fact, it's unthinkable. Nobody would ever even consider saying that a girl was lucky for being abused, but they just say it openly about boys without even giving a fuck about it. Just say it.
I think I know where it comes from. There's a MGTOW called M, and he's been a subscriber of mine since pretty much the very beginning, and he did a video about how, and I hope he's okay with me like talking about it. I mean, he made a video about it, so I assume he's okay with me talking about it. About how when he was 8, this 14-year-old girl who was babysitting him raped him, and he didn't know. I strongly recommend listening to the video, because you can tell it's a very, very, very personal subject. It's something that's very, it's obviously hung over his head his whole life. You know, it's something that's obviously had a really deep and character-forming impact on him. And so for this Cenk guy to just go, well, he's lucky, that is just, it just lacks all compassion. But I think what it comes from is the fact that Cenk, he's a big fat guy. You know, he's not had women crawling all over him. So in his mind, he's thinking, yeah, it'd be great to have women crawling all over me. Whereas in actual fact, it's not about necessarily like women. It's about control. You know, in his mind, when he's picturing it, he is in control of the situation. However, if you're an 8-year-old boy and your babysitter rapes you, you aren't in control of the situation. And this is all new and scary to an 8-year-old. An 8-year-old having sex, you know what I mean? And so this is all scary. You have no idea what's going on. It is a rape, you know? And so for him to then just go, oh, well, he's lucky, that is the thing about it that really pisses me off. Because in his mind, he thinks it'd be lovely to have women crawling on me because then I would have sex with them, not them having sex with him when he doesn't.
Well, I mean, could you, if it was said the other way about, I mean, if that was just somebody on some show saying, you know, some girl was lucky, but do you think it would ever be said about a boy who, say he was 14 and he was gay and he had a relationship, as they call it, and was abused by his gay teacher? Would you know? I mean,
sorry about that.
What does that fall under there? Is that?
Can you say that again, please? My internet cut out.
That's okay. Okay, I'm saying the way you get it, where the guy's called lucky if it's a woman, but what if he's gay and it's a gay teacher that abuses him? Is he lucky then? With the gay teacher's handsome, is he lucky then, or is he not lucky? How does that work? Or is it because it's a man doing it? It's bad.
Obviously, because it's a man doing it, it's bad.
Exactly.
What was the last thing that you heard me say, just out of interest? When I was talking about Cenk.
I think that.
You weren't listening, were you?
No, you finished what you did. No, I was. You definitely finished what you were saying. You definitely finished what you're saying. Saying he fucks it up when he can say one sensible thing and then he goes and says something else. You know, and you said that it comes from him being fat and not getting a lot of attention, so he thinks he's in control in that situation when he pictures himself there. I think
just making sure that came across, because I didn't know when my my internet cut out.
All right.
But I do think that it's I do think it comes from that, and I think and that's what pisses me off.
Anna Kasparian's the same. It just shows that it's not worth liking a celebrity these days, because you know they're just going to fucking say something stupid like that. Anna Kasparian said that, any guy out there who dates a girl, make sure you text her back immediately. You know, like, but if a guy does that, then
sorry,
being clingy.
Say that again.
If you go out with a woman and she texts you, make sure you text her back immediately. This is what she was complaining about with men, you know. But yeah, if the men did text back immediately, then they'd be clingy. You know what I'm saying? we can't win with these people, man.
That's because the woman's had a feeling. She sent him a text and he hasn't texted back. And she's just like, oh my god, he's sleeping with all my best friends. You know, so she needs reassurance right then and there. But yeah, like you say, if in a different emotional frame she was, you know, oh god, he just keeps texting and he keeps texting back immediately, she'd be like, oh, for fuck's sake, this smartphone was built for people with hands bigger than mine. So yeah, you know, it's yeah. I like how people in the comments are getting into an English-Scottish debate now.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. When was the last time that England and Scotland weren't allied? Or Scots and English weren't allied? Probably the Jacobite Rebellion.
It's got to be about talking about a couple of 100 years or something like that. Anyway, at least.
It's got to be Bonnie Prince Charlie and the Jacobites, isn't it?
There's certainly been a lot of fighting over the centuries, you know, but not anymore. Not anymore.
I think Scotland became an actual nation, like a recognisable, like United Scottish Kingdom. I think it was about, I think it was the late 9th century, and England was very shortly afterwards. So for over 1,000 years, the English and Scots have lived next to each other as United Nations. Who the fuck else are we going to fight with? You know what I mean? So, you know, it's like, oh, England and Scotland have won. Well, of course they have. You know? They're right next to each other, and everyone else is separated by water. So yeah, I do. Yeah,
Did you ever hear Bill Bailey's joke? Did you ever hear Bill Bailey's joke about the Geordies? He said the reason the Geordies speak like that, the reason the Geordies speak like that is to confuse the Scots when they tried to come into England, and then they turn back and go back home. Female parking spots in South Korea. I hated when they made news about female park. Oh, is this the Young Turks talking about female parking spots in South Korea? Well, that doesn't surprise me that women get their own parking spaces, probably right at the best places with the best lighting, right next to the vicinity that they want the facilities that they want to use, no doubt.
Probably with armed guards as well. You know, how much more of an expression of privilege can you ask for? And the thing is, you know, what I can just hear it now. What about disabled parking spots? It's like, yes, they are a privilege given to disabled people because they have the misfortune of being disabled, and we all recognise it. You know, it is tougher for them to get to the shops. Therefore, they get the nice cushy spaces next to the things. We are all fine with that. You know, women shouldn't get their own fucking parking spots on those same grounds because women are just people. But I guess called them feminists, maybe they should. If your worldview was very feminist, then you probably would.
But maybe I wonder if they take it further and then say, well, hang on a minute. There's lanes for the disabled, but what about the disabled women? They should come before the disabled men. See, and we'll have disabled women parking, disabled men parking. Fuck's sake, and to put women first. God, man. I'm surprised women don't count as a disability, though. You know, when they're driving. Just being a woman, I can park in the handicap spot. You know, I'm surprised that doesn't work.
Well, you know, they're only one step away from it. So, you know, I mean, having women-only parking spots really is saying that. You know, who are the only other people?
Train carriages as well.
Oh, good God, really?
In India, they've got their own train carriages for women. Seriously, train carriages just for women. To keep them safe. Fuck the men, by the way, and see the one the men use. Women are allowed to use them as well. So men don't get any space at all, you know. But for the protection of women, they're given their own carriage on a train. It's pathetic, man.
So men have to kind of sit at the back of the train in the crappy carriages. They want some sort of 60s, 50s segregation, is what they're saying. You know, we'll get our own water fountains.
Aye, and no doubt the women's carriage will have curtains and, you know, like first class. The men's carriage will be like the sewers.
Yeah, people piss in the corner, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's but it is all about power, isn't it? That's the thing. Everything in feminism is about power. You know, they're always constantly going on about power, and it really drives.
I hate the way they never call it. I hate the way they make excuses for it, though. You know, like if you were to point out and say to women, oh, "But look, how come you get female-only parking spaces?" They would make excuses. You know, like, "Oh no, women have to be safe, and women feel this and women feel that." They just make endless. And yet, if it was the other way around, no excuse would fit. No excuse would be acceptable for doing it the other way around. But yet, they make endless excuses that when they're in their favour.
Yeah, I'm just baffled that anyone takes it seriously, and that anyone takes we want equality between men and women, and it's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. There are a lot of examples of why you don't. So would you please stop saying that that's what feminism's about? You know, that's my main problem with feminism, is the innate doublethink that goes into it. So it's shockingly Orwellian. Shockingly.
And the way they hide behind that definition as well is very irritating, you know. How could you be against feminism? It's just about equality. How could you be against that idea? Fucking ignorance, pure ignorance.
That's why they called it feminism, because, you know, it's about equality. Fucking double plus good, honestly. This sort of stuff really winds me up. And it only winds me up because I was always brought up to see women as equals, you know? And so this is just, I can't see how anyone can be for it. And the thing is, the people who are for it can't see how you could be against it, which is why they're all like, "Oh, you're a piece of shit." And it's just like, am I really a piece of shit? Because I think that that's not being treated equally. You know, it's like.
But if you were to get if aliens visited this planet and they were intelligent and could communicate with us, and we showed them women-only carriages, and as somebody pointed out there, you get women-only carriages in Japan as well, and then you've got female-only parking spaces, and you've got that. I mean, they would clearly think, wow, these females on this planet are treated really well. You know, they're really spoiled rotten.
Either that, or they think there was something wrong with women. They'd be like, oh, so why do you have female only? Oh, because women need to feel safe. And they'll be like, oh, right, okay, so women have got this innate disability that means that their feelings aren't represented in reality around them. Because according to your own statistics, it's never been safer for women. So why are they more scared than ever? You know, and fuck knows. Fuck knows.
Go up north if you want to be called love. Southerners have given up their English identities. You see that in the World Cup, though. See if you look at the World Cup, see if you look at all the football teams. It's amazing the amount of diversity in what I would call the white countries. Almost every single white country has not got a full white team. You know, there's a mix in their team. But yet, when the African nations and the Asian nations and the Arabian nations, they've I mean, there's no diversity there at all in their teams. It's amazing how
Africans and Arabs, are they?
Amazingly enough, yes. So I was shocked.
That's absolutely disgusting. Those intolerant bigots.
It's because they clearly hate white people in those countries, and that's why they don't have them in their football teams or something.
That's absolutely foul. What the? I tell you what, right? Someone saying, who was it that said the south of England's given up its Englishness? Whoever said that, they are right. They are very right, because somehow, and I have no idea how. Introductionary
said it, just so you know. Go up north if you want to be called love. It's just right there. Introductionary.
Oh yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah. But that's absolutely true, and it's because for some reason, being English has somehow been conflated with being a racist who hates black people, which is just, and it is if you want to kill people.
I feel that's a real shame. Something I noticed was is that the image of an England football fan waving an England flag is somehow seen as racist if that guy happens to be white. And it's like, but why is an English man waving an English flag in any way hateful towards anybody? It's not fair. It's not hateful at all to anybody.
I can see why they're thinking it. I can see why they're thinking it. Because when the English start getting...
Because of the stereotype.
Well, no, more British Empire, I think.
Maybe. But
obviously it could never happen again. You know, it was a confluence of events that allowed Britain and England, really, I suppose. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't want to downplay the contribution of the Scots, but the Scottish colonial empire failed. You know, it was lack of population, really, I think. But that's the thing. When the English got up themselves, you know, they were in the right place at the right time, and they really went to town with it. But even then, they weren't that bad. You know, of all the historical great empires from Europe that you'd want to live under, either the British or the French are definitely the empires you'd have wanted to have lived under if you weren't white English or French. Because
definitely. The British Empire.
I mean, it's. This is what drives me crazy. So, being an Englishman's bad. It's like, right, okay, where did the abolitionist movement really take hold, though? You know, I think it started in France, but it really gained a lot of ground in England. And you know, we outlawed slavery in the British Empire in something like 1806, I think it was. And then by something like 1824, it was properly codified. And it was still another 50 or 60 years before the Americans did it. And it was just like, you know, so okay, well, you know, so the English have, you know, stopped slavery, which is I think is quite a noble thing. They fought the Nazis, which I think is quite a noble thing. They were on the winning side of the Cold War, which I mean, history's written by the victors, so that must be a good thing. So to have some sort of English nationalism would be to be anti-tyranny, I guess. I don't really know. I mean, to be pro Magna Carta, I would have thought to be English. I mean, I don't know what kind of where this sort of racist sort of thing has come from, apart from the fact that the British Empire subjugated India. I guess I don't know. I mean, I don't know where it comes from.
There's the image of the skinhead with the Dr. Martens and the vest and the England's flag, as a hateful bunch, but it's a horrible stereotype. I don't think English people deserve it. There's a groups that are like that, but that's not English people, No,
not at all.
But I think it's a shame that they can't wave a flag during the World Cup without people saying that it's somehow hateful, and there's nothing hateful about it at all.
Absolutely. I mean, like MGTOW Forever pointed, the First Nations people in Canada. I agree. These things were terrible events, but there are two sides to every story. I mean, it's not like in America, smallpox got there and wiped out like 95% of the population. So it would be literally like if a disease wiped out 95% of the Earth's population and then aliens turned up, it would be like that. It would be it's the apocalypse, and there's an invading force that you have no chance against. What are you going to do? It's shit. I'm not trying to say it's good but it's inevitable when that happens. When something like that happens, you don't. It's just a fact. It's terrible. It's obviously terrible, but it was 300-400 years ago, and it was a different time. And so
we can't fight our ancestors' fights. We can't fight our fathers and our grandfathers' fights. Too many people do that, I think, and they need to stop. They need to go and find their own fights. Your grandfathers, your fathers, they had their fights. Go and find your fucking own fight. But a lot of people carry on the fights of their ancestors. Yeah, which is a shame.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've been getting some stick about the 9/11. Shit, haven't you? Well, because somebody in the last hangout we done said to you something about you being a truther, right? And I said that I don't like that term, because
no, I don't like it.
It seems to apply to anybody who questions the official narrative of what happened, and I don't think there's anything wrong with questioning the official narrative. So when somebody says, "Oh, you're a truther," I don't really see that as an insult. I see that as a better thing than just being someone who accepts what they're told, But that's just me, and I'm not saying it was an inside job or anything. But to me, follow the money. If it was an inside job, who benefits? Who would benefit from that happening?
Yeah, and the thing my major point of contention is that I genuinely don't believe that those buildings. I don't believe 3 buildings were taken down by 2 planes. I just don't believe that can happen. And if it can happen, then there are some serious structural issues with every skyscraper we have. Because the people who designed them, there's a video floating around on YouTube of them going, well, we really did design it to be able to take multiple plane impacts without collapsing. And so if they're getting their job so wrong, why are they not the pariahs of the architectural world? Why is everyone not, well, they're not having a job again. They built the Twin Towers, and they were supposed to withstand multiple plane impacts, and yet 3 buildings came down when 2 planes hit them. So those guys are shit. So those guys can never work again, you would think, but I don't think that's the case. And so it's like I don't believe it. I don't know what happened. I don't know whether it was Mossad. I don't know if it was the US government. I don't know if it was CIA. I don't know who did it. But like you say, follow the money, and the American government and the powers behind the throne seem to really have benefited from this attack. And there was a report that went out, the Project for the New American Century, where they were saying that they would need another Pearl Harbor style event, which they then conveniently had. And it's just like, right, okay. And then they invaded the wrong fucking country. And it's just like, right, okay, but that was just as Saddam Hussein was about to start. I think he'd just started trading his oil in euros like 6 months before. And that's a real threat to the American hegemony, so they can't allow it. So it had to go. And I know it sounds extreme. I really know that sounds extreme, but it also makes sense. It's exactly what I would do if I was in that position. See, this one, shut up, you conspiracy theorist. You know what, man? Fuck off. fuck off, man. This is the show that me and Goodfella are having. This is a subject's come up, and this is my opinion on it. You don't have to fucking stay here if you don't agree with me on that. And if you don't agree with me on that, just say I don't agree with you on that. You know, seriously, man. It's something that I can't square it in my own head with what I know. You know. Sorry,
There's a lot of things that don't get mentioned and don't get brought up. For example, Osama bin Laden did used to work for the CIA. Who's to say he still wasn't working for them, right? There's that, right? There's also the idea that people in a cave in a country miles and miles away can plan an attack on two buildings that have already been bombed a few years before. Yep. You know, they were already,
that was
Twin
FBI
Towers were already bombed, and
the guy,
you know, they tried to.
Sorry, go on.
Well, they tried to bring them down before, and they didn't do it. You would think after that they would be two of the most protected buildings in America, and to think that two planes were able to get to those two buildings with the security the Americans have and the amount of money they spend in defence, it's dead hard to believe that that's possible.
Yeah.
Unless it was allowed to happen.
I mean, I'm not necessarily saying the American government did it, but too many coincidences. You know, too many coincidences. And ultimately, if a government says something's true, I'm naturally inclined to believe it's not. You know.
No, as soon as they say it, I definitely.
Yeah, you know. All right, why are you saying that? You know, I'm interested in knowing the other side of the story. And yeah,
I would like to say though that a big thing like this could never happen without conspiracy theories. I think it's fair to say that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything that you propose about this, I mean, the official story is a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy between like 12 Saudi terrorists or something in their mind, which it might well have been. I mean, I don't know, but.
Mm-hmm. But either way, I have to say though, if it was the planes and they genuinely did bring the building down, and it really is true, that's the real story and all that, I have to say it is a fucking good idea to fly planes into a building. That is a fucking really good idea. I mean, even if the buildings didn't come down, still going to get a lot of damage from a fucking jumbo jet hitting a building.
You know, I imagine a few hundred people died from the impacts alone. So that would, even if you couldn't get the buildings to come down, that would be like, look, they've just taken something that you consider quite a safe method of conveyance and used it as a weapon in your everyday life. I mean, there are thousands of people who use planes all the time. You are going to be absolutely, you know, it's like you say, it's genius. You know, and this is the thing. These are good ideas if that was your aim. You know.
But you wouldn't expect cave dwellers to come up with this idea. You would have expected someone a bit more, you know, savvy to come up with that idea.
Even if they came up with it, how the hell are they going to execute it? You know, how?
Well, exactly.
Honestly, it's too complicated a story. You know, there are too many excuses that have to be made for it to make sense. So.
Well,
yeah.
I think we can agree as well that people like us will never find out the truth. I mean, whatever the truth is, we'll never find out. We'll never know. Just like JFK, just like Michael Jackson or whatever. We'll never know. We'll never know.
I'll tell you, because I like watching my conspiracy theory documentary. I say documentaries in the loosest possible term as well. I watched this one of Michael Jackson like speaking at a conference, and he was saying that there was a conspiracy. You know, he was saying that they're trying to control him, but, you know, the joke's on them because now he owns like half of Sony or something. And, you know, he's primed to walk away from his contract in a really great position, and then he dies under suspicious circumstances. So, I mean, you really have to be giving the people who are saying, no, there was nothing going on here, the benefit of the doubt to believe their side of the story. Even if you don't have, you know, concrete evidence, there are definitely means and motives.
He died when he was preparing for a tour, so in a way you could say he was guaranteed some money from that, because I think that was already sold out before he even started it.
Oh, without doubt.
So maybe, you know...
But, yeah,
he's a money-making machine, Michael Jackson.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing. When you start talking about billions of dollars, which we are, you know, I mean, in the invasion of Iraq and stuff like that, Halliburton has made so much money out of that invasion, and literally trillions of dollars are going missing, and it's just like, so where's this money gone? And they're like, well, we can't account for it, and it's just like, what? How could you not account for such large amounts of cash? It's like, well, they flew over like crates of money and like used it as bribery money and stuff like that, and it's just like, is that how you really operate? You print out
Who did you
crates
say
of
that?
money.
Halliburton? What was that?
Halliburton, yeah.
What was that name you used there? Halliburton?
Sorry, say again.
No, I don't know who they are. Sorry, I don't know who they are.
Halliburton. Dick Cheney. He's like a director of it or a CEO of it or something like that. But they provide food and water and shelter and all the military logistics to the U.S. Army. And then you've got Dick Cheney saying, yeah, we should definitely invade Iraq. And it's like, really, Dick? Are you sure that we shouldn't? I mean, maybe, are you going to make a lot of money out of this? Well, yeah, I mean, but that's by the by, we should definitely invade Iraq. So, what do you expect him to say, Well,
they say money's worth a lot of, war is worth a lot of money, though. They do say that, a lot of money in war.
Absolutely is. Absolutely. But yeah, so conspiracies, my favourite. Thing is, I do really
like conspiracy theories. I'm always willing to hear another side, even if I know something. Like say for example, the moon landing, right? I believe it happened because one of the main reasons I believe it happened is because if it didn't happen, Russia would be all over it like a rash, making America look stupid.
Yep.
So that's what makes me believe it happened. But I'm still willing to listen to people who say it didn't. I still want to know what they've got to say, I don't rubbish it and go, oh, don't be so silly. No, I'm willing to hear it. What have you got to say, I like conspiracy theories, but...
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It was Aristotle, I think, who said the mark of an educated mind is to be able to entertain an idea without accepting it. And so if you can't entertain a thought without accepting it as gospel, then you're a bit of a dullard. You're a bit of a fucking idiot if you can't bear to hear it, because just hearing it persuades you that it must be true, and therefore no one may say it anymore. I mean, yeah, like you say with the moon landings, right? I imagine they probably did go to the moon. I imagine that they probably did. But I can also see why people would think they don't, because given the choice between trying to catch up in a technological race that you're losing or faking it, I mean, which one would I think the US government's more likely to do on an Occam's razor basis? I think I don't trust the US government not to fake it. I actually think they're the kind of people who would do that. Therefore, when they say, well, we've got a lot of evidence that suggests they did do that, I am, like you say, I'm willing to hear it. But like you say, I think the Russians would be all over it if they didn't.
Oh, I mean, imagine, because they of all people would be able to prove it didn't happen if it didn't happen, And they also the rocket is still I don't know if it's called a rocket, but whatever took them up to the moon still exists. You can go and look at this thing. It was built specifically for that. And again, if this couldn't go to the moon, the Russians would have been all over it, and they would have made it. They would have mocked America forever, endlessly, if they faked that. But unless they're in on it, there's another conspiracy theory for you. Unless the Russians are in on it.
Yeah, well, okay. What reason would the Russians have for being in on it, though? What could we think of? I mean, the only thing I can think of in that is if it's not possible. If there was something that was preventing either of them from going to the moon, rather than looking like the collective pair of idiots that they would look like for not knowing about whatever barrier. I mean, something about the Van Allen belt is this belt of radiation that they had to pass through. And I've heard conspiracy theories where they're like, look, they couldn't have gone through that without major radiation poisoning. So what was the solution? And the astronauts just like, well, it just wasn't a big deal. Now, I'm happy to believe that it wasn't a big deal. But if it was a big deal and someone could prove that it is a big deal, then that would be an indication for me of why they would conspire together on this. Say, look, we're going to look like fucking prize idiots if it turns out that this isn't even possible. So why don't we just lie about it? Not that I'm saying that is what happened, but that's the only way I could rationalize them working together.
If you were going to accept that the Russians were in on it, it's difficult to accept it. But if they were, maybe let's see. We're going tinfoil hats on, right? Okay, America. I'll tell you what. You can claim the moon landing, and that way people will believe we can go to space on the moon, and we'll run our space program and get lots of money for that as well. But we won't say anything. That way we keep the money rolling in. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? I really hope that's not the case, though, because I like the fact that man is so fucking brilliant that we can get to the moon. I think that the fact that we can do that is amazing, and I would hate to find out that was all fake.
Yeah, me too. That is like, it's one of those things where it's just like, and what gets me is everyone's like, would you go to Mars? And I'm always like, no, there's nothing there. But if there was something there, because man has been so incredibly ingenious and gotten himself there and built civilization there, yeah, I'd go to fucking Mars, you know. But yeah, it's a testament to human achievement.
I'll go once we have the technology that Futurama has, you know, the way you could just go from planet to planet in Futurama.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That's when I'd do it. That'd be brilliant. I'd probably do that if I had nothing else to live for. You know, freeze myself for the future. You know, be very interesting if it worked. I'm saying, put yourself in suspended animation, and then you come back in the future, like 1,000 years, like Fry.
The only thing about that is, right, language will have changed, so no one's going to speak your language. And this is assuming that, you know, anyone wakes you up in 1,000 years, and that, you know, you don't die somehow in the process. But I don't know. I don't know. I'd be tempted. Would you do it? Would you actually do it? Or?
I think I would do it. I'd do it. I think if I was going to do it, I'd have to have nothing to live for, right? Nothing to keep me here at this time.
Yeah.
But I would probably only want to do it at 10 years at a time. I wouldn't want to go 1,000 years. That might be too far. You know, we might go 1,000 years and we're living under Sharia law. You know, so I go 10 years at a time just to see how I like it, and then no hoverboards yet. Right, give me another 10 years. Wait till they've got hoverboards.
Yeah, but the thing is, you'll wake up in 10 years' time and they'll be like, oh, you know, you'll be in a containment field or something, and there'll be alarms going off, and the feminist Gestapo will be there, and you'll be like, what the hell's going on? It's like, no, you're a white man, you cisgendered heteronormative scum, and you get shot. And it's because you weren't here to fight against the feminist revolution, mate. You know, so you can't afford to do that. You don't know what crazy ideology will have taken over.
No, you don't know. Like, well, it might be John Apocalypse's crazy ideology. No, he says, do you believe in aliens? Well, I think.
Yeah, I reckon.
I'm not going to say aliens don't exist, because with the amount of living creatures that are on this planet, it's very hard to believe that there's not some other form of life out there. Whether it's as intelligent as us, more intelligent, less intelligent, is a different thing. But I really believe there is other life out there because of the amount of life that's on just this one planet.
Yeah, I think that the universe being as large as it is, I think it would be absurd to have another planet that was under very similar conditions as Earth. You know, a healthy medium temperature like we've got, lots of water, oxygen in the atmosphere, and then there's no life. It'd be that you know, if all the if it is like, you know, the chemicals in the primordial soup that create the first strands of DNA just by accident, or however they say it's done, I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but you know, why wouldn't that occur on another planet? You know, that's the thing. There's no, as far as I can tell, there's no reason that wouldn't happen, and so I think it's silly to assume it wouldn't happen. But whether aliens have ever come to Earth, basically, is what people are asking. Well, yeah, I mean, just look at the government. They all look like reptilians, don't they?
I can never see them. I mean, just the thought of being able to travel to, because I think other life similar to ours, if it did exist, would be in another solar system altogether. And there's just no way we'd ever meet. You know, there's no way. It really is impossible. But we'll never we'll never know. Another thing we'll never know.
Yeah. Well, now this actually theory, right, is the aliens one, right? I absolutely adore this. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying I think it's all horseshit. It's absolute horseshit. But just the premise is just so it's so detailed right? The idea that not only are aliens in contact with Earth, and have been since the dawn of time, they seeded the Earth with bloodlines, like David Icke says, and stuff like that. So you've got aliens have come from another galaxy, created a race of inferior creatures, and then infected them, or not infected them, but like seeded their own sort of superior genes in certain ones to control them all. For what end, you know? And this all seems like a lot of work for a bit of a payoff that isn't really, you know, what are you gaining out of this? Yeah, look at this. Aha, we're puppeteering this entire planet with our lizard aliens. It's like, really? Is that the most exciting thing in the galaxy, is it? I mean, yeah. But then it gets better though, because and that's the thing about these conspiracy theories, they do keep evolving, and this is where it gets pretty good. So they've got holographic projection technology now, which it's really good. I mean, I've like Tupac dancing on stage and stuff like that, and he looks like he's really there. It's like, wow, that's really impressive. And then the alien conspiracy theorists are going, you can see like in the light, the lights in their eyes, it sort of backs up, and it's like, oh my God, there are no aliens. They're going to convince us there are aliens to bring in a one world government, and it's just like, Jesus. Actually, that does sound kind of convincing. You know, I could see governments faking an alien invasion with holographic technology. I really could. Obviously, it's not going to happen, and I'm talking shit. But if they had the option,
I mean, it'd be interesting to see how they could do that. It'd be very difficult to pull that one off.
Wow, it's the same sort of thing as the spectre of Islamic terrorism, though, isn't it? You know, a city blows up and it's, oh my God, did you see the UFOs above the city? Yeah, we did. And then there's an explosion in the city. Oh my God, it was aliens. We're at war with aliens. And then suddenly, it's not that hard to set up. You know, it's no more difficult than Islamic terrorism. I mean, don't get me wrong, there is Islamic terrorism, but the scale of it has been vastly overblown.
Have you ever seen the UFOs over the White House?
No, I haven't actually.
No, it's an old photo. If you look up UFOs over White House, loads of people seen this, right? Hundreds and hundreds of people seen this at the time. It's black and white. A black and white picture. Try to see if I can find it here. Images, yes, I've got it.
1952.
Oh no, it's actually colour. Sorry, that's a colour picture. I just remembered it in black and white. But you can see there that these images were seen by hundreds and hundreds of people. What the fuck is it? What the fuck is going on there? You know?
Yeah, and there are loads of things like that. There was something over Jerusalem, and the thing is, I just want to say on the video I put up about the thing I saw. Someone said that what it was is a satellite that then crossed over and courses with another satellite as they were coming through the shadow of the Earth. So one became lit up as the other one became dark. And that, for me, is a perfectly reasonable explanation, and I'm happy to accept that. It didn't occur to me that a satellite would be going the other way at the same time. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's a likely coincidence, but I'm saying it's more likely than aliens. So I'm happy to accept that as the explanation. That's a great explanation. I can square that. You know, as unlikely as it is that they'd cross at exactly the same time and there'd be no difference in brightness or anything, I can say to myself, realistically, I probably just missed that. You know, I had a few beers. It's not something I'm used to seeing, so, you know, I'm totally down with that. But yeah, like you said, this sort of thing, what are these lights above the White House? You know? Sorry, go on.
When I watched your video about what you saw, right? I watched the start of it, and what it sounded like to me was it was either swamp gas or a weather balloon. That's what they always say. Yeah. That's what they always fucking say, man. Oh, it was a weather balloon. What kind of weather balloon looks fuck? I remember, you know, I there was this thing, there was this video a while ago, right? And again, I had my tinfoil hat on, right?
Yeah.
And this guy had created like this helium balloon shaped like a UFO, right? And he was flying it around. It was in England somewhere, right? And he was flying this UFO around England, and people were taking pictures of it.
Yeah.
And then it was on the news, you know, this guy had done this, built this UFO, and it was just a big hoax. He was joking with people. But then I got thinking, and I was thinking, was that a real UFO, but they got this guy to claim he'd made a fake one because so many people seen it? You see, that's how my paranoid mind works, you know, that it wasn't a joke or a hoax at all, a joke at all. It was actually real, but they didn't want us to know, so they said, just say it was a joke. Just say it was some guy with a remote-controlled UFO. Just a thought.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing with conspiracy theories, though, isn't it? It's like, oh god, this can really go really far down this crazy rabbit hole that you can be fairly sure of each thing on the way, and then you're at a ridiculous conclusion, you know. But but the thing is, right, I'm more inclined to think that it's advanced technology piloted by humans than aliens. If these things, if these lights in the sky are actual things and they're not swamp gas or weather balloons every time, you know, and these strange like formations of lights above capital cities and stuff like that, I would be more inclined to believe it was human technology that has been developed but is being held back by the military for whatever reason. You know, because the American government puts such a huge amount of money into military research. There must be things that they have that we have no idea about. There must be.
Well, my girlfriend used to say that UFOs were possibly people in time machines from the future coming back and watching us. You know, now that's a thought. You know, if you see a UFO, that might be away from our future, somebody in a time machine. Who knows? You can have any theory on these things, you know, but you just never know. Sargon cut off. I think he may be. I think it's possible. Still says live, so yes, still live. But I think Sargon may have been cut off.
No, I've got you now. Yeah.
Are you on?
Yeah, because I'm poor, I've got no way of like paying for an internet connection, and luckily my parents use a BT. They've got BT, and they've got this like roaming internet connection. So if anyone around in the local area has a BT connection, you can, you know, if you've got your password and stuff, you can use it. You can log in on it, and it's a fantastic service.
Okay.
But the thing is, every like hour or so it clocks off, so you need to log in again, or hour and a half or something. So that's basically what happens. Yeah, it's yeah. I'll get a better internet.
So if you're in another area away from your parents' house and somebody has a BT hub, I think that's what it's called, isn't it?
Yep.
That means you can use your mum's account. That's quite good, isn't it? That's actually quite clever. I didn't know you could do that. That's quite clever.
It's a fantastic service, and I mean it.
How ironic! I think it's just cut off again. Yes, I think.
It's a really great service actually. I don't normally recommend BT because in other ways I used to, when I was about 10 years ago, I first got a really good like my own proper flat sort of thing. I was with BT and everything was going great, and then they were just like, oh, we've turned your internet off. And it's like, what? Why? Oh, there's I don't know. And you know they had to come out and do all this stuff, and it took 2 weeks, and there was nothing wrong, and eventually they just turned it back on. And I was just like, why did this happen? And they were just like, well, we don't know. I said, well, okay, now I think you're really crap. But
I don't like that. I don't like that you have to pay the phone bill, the phone line rental. That, do you know, that really annoys me. That I have to pay for that to get my internet. I never used the house phone. Right, I don't even plug it into the wall because I don't use it. I use my mobile phone. But yeah, I need to pay. Exactly, when was the last time? But I need it in order to get the internet, and I think it's a pure con, you know, because I'm not using the line. But yeah, and they need to charge me telephone line rental, the bastards.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
BT are listening.
Yeah. BT are like, oh, you're fucked now, sunshine. So what are the?
Says, did your girlfriend smoke a lot of drugs? No, actually, Mike told forever she did smoke a lot of drugs. Why would the futurists see our mundane? I think it's mundane presence. We have technology to record our history because, unlike videos and stuff like that, if you could go back, I mean, I would love to be able to go back to certain times in history and watch it for myself. You know, I mean, you can get videos if you want. You can get people telling you about it. But to be able to go back and look at it for yourself would be something special. I think a lot of people would pay a lot of money to do stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, if what time travel as a tourist industry? My God, that'd be the ultimate tourist industry, wouldn't it?
They'd make a lot of money though. There'd have to be
Oh
serious
yeah.
restrictions.
Oh yeah.
Futurama covered this. They
Yeah.
covered it where it was if anything messed up, if they went back in time and then they messed something up, it would automatically correct itself. So if there ended up being two people, one of them would die. Things like that. So it's quite clever.
But yeah, time travel would be just the most. You'd never need to go on holiday again, really, because I mean that would be your holiday, wouldn't it? It would become so integral. Right, I want to go to a desert island. Oh, what time period would you like to visit the desert island at? It'd be amazing. Don't get me wrong. So, yeah.
And you don't need any time off work, because you can go when you get home from work. You can go in the past and then come back at the exact same time you left, so you don't really miss any time here.
Well, that sounds.
I don't know where I'd go though.
I don't
know where I would go. If I could choose somewhere in history, I don't know. I mean, I'd be very interested to look at the JFK assassination. I'd love to look there and have a wee look around to see if there's anybody else. You know what I'm saying? Things
Turn up on the grassy knoll.
Very interesting.
Red Dwarf style.
That's clever, that.
Yeah, there are definitely some things. I mean, I'd like to see I would like to go back to when they think these ancient aliens were doing all their stuff and see if they were aliens. Because I mean, I can see where the argument comes from. There is a lot of stuff in ancient mythology that does sound like it could well have been aliens. I mean, if you just look at the story of the Bible, like the Israelites being drawn out of Egypt, if God, this flaming pillar in the sky, was, I mean, he was probably a volcano, but if he was like an alien ship, it would all make sense because he attacks their enemies and does all this interesting stuff. And, I mean, I could buy that was an alien ship, so I'd like to go back and see it for myself. Obviously it wasn't, but...
No. But if this whole idea of aliens coming to Earth and they've got they're reptiles and they're dressing up as humans and stuff, why wouldn't they just wipe the humans out and live on the planet themselves? Why would they even need humans at all? Why not just rid the planet of humans and have it full of lizards?
Well, they've got a conspiracy theory for that, mate. Obviously. The theory, the conspiracy theory as I understand it, goes that they are emotional vampires in some way. So they prey on humans. They treat humans like cattle. This is basically like a farm. So that would be their motive, and if that were the case, if they did feed off us in some way, then I mean I can see why they wouldn't want us going into space.
Or maybe they would need our bodies to survive on this planet. Maybe that's the reason. But
yeah, that sounds plausible to me.
Don't see why they can't just get rid of us. And well, that'd be the only reason that would to keep us around. Would be the point otherwise. Because I've heard that being said about the Queen. The Queen's a lizard.
Yeah,
it's just the idea is it's just crazy. It's crazy.
Well, it could be quite easily proven, couldn't it? Just take a DNA sample from the Queen. If anyone actually believed that.
Well, I'm surprised. Well, see if we really had a free press, right? People say we've got a free press, right? But we've not, right? Because if we did have, that's exactly what they'd do with Prince Harry. They would get his DNA and they would get James Hewitt's DNA and they would see if they matched. That's what they would do. But yet not one newspaper, not one journalist has ever investigated this. Isn't that odd? Something so clear to everybody, yet it's never been investigated. That is very strange. I like Harry, by the way. I think Harry's excellent.
Harry's
he's what the royal family needs, but there's no denying who his dad is. It's so fucking obvious.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing, isn't it? The genes don't lie.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
I just want to get Psychological Cynic's question. He asked the question, what are your views on life worship? Life worship is where people put human life as the highest priority, above property, above morality, above anything, regardless of what the life that's being threatened has done or not done. What do you think?
It's a funny one. I mean, obviously, life is very important, but a higher priority than property, morality, above anything, regardless of what the person's life has done.
Yeah.
No, because certain certain people, their life is not as worthy as other people's. I know you're not allowed to say that, but it's true. I mean, you can't say a raging paedophile is as good as Gandhi. You know, there's obviously completely different lives. But I don't know, a higher priority than morality. Life is very important, but I don't know. It's hard to grasp the question, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Basically, correct me if I'm wrong here, Cynic. I think he's asking is, I think ultimately, is it okay to execute people? Is the quickest way to get to the heart of it? I'll leave it for a moment, hopefully, so he can reply, because I'm personally very much against the death penalty for a number of reasons. First of all, it's been proven that it doesn't have any effect on crime statistics. So, but secondly, you can't answer an injustice with another injustice, no matter how. It's
no, that's true.
If you're going to murder someone, then you have no moral position with which to do that. Now you're doing it for practical reasons, because of money, or because of personal emotional hatred, or something that is, in any other situation wouldn't really be very acceptable to commit an immoral act. So, to execute people because it costs a lot of money or they're dickheads is, in my opinion, not. It lacks sympathy for that person, because monsters aren't born; they're made, and so. I'm actually very much sort of like a humanist in this regard. I really don't think that anyone's got the right to take another person's life. And I'm not even talking about I definitely don't think in combat, for example. I mean, like in a battle, everyone is there. They know why they're there, and they all walked to the field. They all consented to be there. Therefore, killing, that's fine, because they're all there to kill each other, so that's fine. But when you've got a group of people like the police who have arrested a criminal and are now going to execute him, the only thing that really sets them apart there is that one's wearing a uniform, because you're both committing the same act. So I know it's quite absolute, and that's absolute morality, but it's how it is. You're killing someone. So, but he's followed up saying he's more talking about sacrifice. Would you sacrifice your life in order to maintain your morals, or would you compromise them in order to save the life of a person? That's a very good question.
Sacrifice our life. Life.
Your life, say. I think
it's trying to think. It's trying to think of an example. It's trying to think of an example where you could sacrifice a life in order to maintain your morals, and I think the answer would be yes. I would sacrifice a life in order to maintain my morals, depending on the situation. But
or whose life?
It's a hard one.
Whose life are you sacrificing?
Whose life? Because I'm also against the death penalty, by the way, because a lot of innocent people, end up on death row. So I'm against it for that reason. Would you stand by it and let something happen? Would you stand by it and let it happen if it was again? No, I wouldn't. No,
Can you give us an actual example, Cynic? Give us a situation.
Would you stand by it, and if it's an injustice, like I will say the Rosa Parks incident on the bus, I like to think that I would be the type of person that would stand up and say something. I think everybody likes to think that. But
I think a lot.
When push comes to shove, do you stand up and say something?
Right. So you said the fat guy on the bridge, and if I remember this correctly, it's you're standing on a bridge above a railway track, and you can see that there are some people on the railway track further down, like 4 people playing on the railway track. And what you could do is push this one fat guy over, that will then block the train, and then save those 4 people by killing this one person. Have I got that right, Cynic?
Okay, but it would have to be a guarantee, though. It would have to be a guarantee that he would stop the train, and it's not real. But I wouldn't do it if it was just a chance. But if it was definitely going to save 4 lives, then yes, because I'm picturing myself right as the fat guy, and I would understand if somebody pushed me in front of the train to save 4 children, say. To save 4 lives, even though I'm dying, I would still I'd still be annoyed at it, but I would understand why they done it. They done it for the right reasons. So putting myself in the fat guy's position.
If I recall correctly, this is a psychopath question. It's to determine whether you're a psycho. So it's because...
Am I a psycho then?
I think yes, actually. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
But wouldn't I be more of a psycho to just let 4 people die?
No, because those 4 people...
See, so that's a difficult one.
Right, this is my position. No, I absolutely wouldn't sacrifice one innocent person to save 4 people who had done the stupid thing of playing on a fucking train track that's active. You know,
are they aware that they're doing a stupid thing? See, this I'm thinking they don't know they're going to get hit with this.
Well, no,
okay, fair enough.
I assume they don't know they're going to.
They were unaware that they were in danger.
No, I don't think they're aware that they are in danger. But I also don't think they're unaware that train tracks have trains on them. So I think it's one of those sort of, you know,
it's because of the analogy of the train and the track. Yeah. If it wasn't a train and it wasn't a train track, but it was another scenario where you could kill one person to save 4 people's lives, I would have to know, did the 4 people know that they're standing in direct danger and did they put themselves there? If not, then I would push the fat guy in front of the train.
Well, I think they absolutely did. I think that they did know that, you know, that the train track is not necessarily a safe place.
That changes everything then, because if that's the case, I would leave the fat guy alone, because I was thinking that these people were in danger but didn't realise that they could prevent it themselves. Oh no, if it's their own fault, no, I wouldn't push the fat guy then. But if they were completely unaware, if it was a truck on a pavement and not a train on a track, I would push the fat guy in front of the truck to save the people on the pavement that didn't know they were going to get hit with a truck. But if they were on a train track, they should fucking know better, and I wouldn't push the fat guy.
That's the thing is, I don't think I would ever push the fat guy, because he hasn't his life is no more or less valuable than theirs if I know nothing about them.
No.
You know? And I don't see why.
But there's 4 of them. There's 4 of them and only one of him.
Oh yeah, 4 of them. But that doesn't matter.
It's the number.
It's for me. It's not. It's about, you know. I've never really had to articulate this, but I know what I'm trying to say. He is not responsible for them playing on the train track. He's not responsible for the danger that is going to hit them. Whether, you know, no one has to be responsible for this danger. It could be a boulder falling and you could push someone in front of it to save someone else or something. You know, they're not responsible for the danger. Mm-hmm. They're not the ones who have put themselves in the danger, whether unwittingly or wittingly. Then why the hell should that person have to die for those people? It's not fair. You know, it's fundamentally not fair that some guy who's in no danger, who's minding his own business, should then die for some people he's not even related to. He doesn't know anything about. He's just a bystander who just happens to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And how shit is that? You know?
Okay, how do you feel in the fat man's shoes, right? Somebody's pushed you in front of the train, you die, you're able to look back, you realise your death saved 4 lives. Do you understand why it was done?
It's not that I don't understand why it was done. I do. I understand completely why someone would argue, yes, I'd do it to save 4 lives. But I think what Psychological Cynic was trying to get at is, how much is a human life worth? Is it worth another person's life? And no, I don't. Not in you know, in a situation where this person wasn't going to die and they're not responsible in any way for these other people who are going to die. Why the hell should he lose his life? That's really unfair, isn't it? You know, if someone told you out of the blue, by the way, you haven't done anything wrong.
That is unfair, but.
You know, yeah, but fuck those guys. You know, people die. You know, if you're going to play on train tracks, then, you know, you're a social justice warrior probably. Don't teach trains not to hit me. You know? Don't tell me not to play on train tracks.
Teach trains not to go so fast.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and so no, I don't think that you should kill someone who's unrelated to the situation just to save other people who had the misfortune of being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
You know, as a dilemma, I mean, it's clearly a dilemma, you know. But my point I would like to know is, are the four people completely aware that they have put themselves in danger? Because if they have, I'm not doing anything to save them, you know.
Well,
But
obviously,
if
but I mean,
not,
even if they're not,
I don't know. I don't know.
even if they're not, why are you going to murder this poor fat guy because life conspired against these four people? You know, it's even if I didn't know any of these people or if they were all my best
Hmm.
friends, I still wouldn't kill someone else to save someone I love just because, unless they were the one threatening them, obviously. But you know, just it
Okay, how about
wouldn't
this one then, right? How about this?
go
How
for
about
it.
this? How would you deal with this moral dilemma, right?
Hmm.
Right, you're on the same bridge again, right? And there's a train, and it's going towards a piece of dog shit, right? And Anita Sarkeesian is there, and if you put her in front of the train, it won't hit the dog shit. Now, what do you do?
I would be very concerned about saving the integrity of that dog shit.
Oh, there's an interesting one for you. Mid Forever says,
Yeah,
Sargon, I know he said that wrong.
yeah.
Would you kill 100,000 people, 6 million people?
I think I'd need a few more specifics about the situation. But no, you know
Hmm.
unless the 100,000 people were responsible for the deaths of the 6 million people, if we were talking literally the Nazi sort of thing, then maybe. But if it's just like 100,000 old ladies who are going about their daily business, making cups of tea and eating scones and stuff, and then you know, and then there's a natural disaster in Asia and 6 million people die from it, I wouldn't sacrifice the 100,000 old ladies to save those people who have died from a natural disaster. Why the hell should the old ladies be murdered for that? You know, it
Right,
sucks
okay
for.
then. Let's say it's a terrorist group, right, has a city in America with 6 million people, right?
Hmm.
They've got their button on the finger, they press the button and it kills all those people.
Yeah.
And their demand is you must kill 100,000 people or I will kill these 6 million people. Would you just kill 100,000 random people who don't deserve it to save the 6 million random people who don't deserve it?
No, I don't think I would, and not because I don't negotiate
No?
with terrorists. I don't get me wrong, that's awful, but I'm not the one pushing the button. So
No,
the
because
death,
so it shouldn't be on your conscience, no
no,
matter
not at
what
all.
happens.
Not at
Because
all. I'm not going to sacrifice 100,000 people who don't deserve it for 6 million people who, again, don't deserve it, but are being killed by someone else's action and agency.
not by
That's
yours, aye.
because seriously, I mean that could be fucking me who gets killed randomly for some fuckers I don't even know. It's naked self-interest if nothing else.
That's
This is
exactly it, isn't it?
this wouldn't be fucking fair, would it? And yet if I was in the city, there's a terrorist there. He's going to blow everything up. I'd be like, well, that's shit. Well, they're debating whether to kill 100,000 people to save you. I'd be like, well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I would appreciate that, but that's no. That's my bad roll of the dice. I was unlucky. I couldn't. No way. I couldn't square it with my own conscience.
Well, there's one. 600 politicians or one rapist. It's obviously one rapist. I mean, although politicians are assholes, there are still good politicians, but no, it's the one rapist. If
Yeah.
it's a genuine rapist,
Oh yeah. If it's a genuine rapist, I'd choose the rapist. Even though the politicians might technically be responsible for far greater crimes than the rapist. I mean, Tony Blair.
yes,
Who are you going to do?
yes.
Tony Blair or a rapist? I'd kill Tony Blair any day. The rapist might have been under the influence. He might regret it. He might feel sorrow about it. Tony Blair swanning around the world as a peace envoy. So I would definitely kill Tony Blair. And I can think of a few other politicians that I would recommend to be on that list as well. So maybe we could set up some of these moral dilemmas and have people push buttons.
Can I pick the people I know who are going to die? Says Savage Goose. Well, that'd be too easy because then you just pick people you don't like and then go, "I fuck them, let them die."
Yeah, absolutely.
So that would be too easy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, you need good questions in these sort of
See,
moral.
Save the cheerleader, save the world. Less Than Logical wrote that. That's honest to God, right? Today through the mail, I got the first series of Heroes on Blu-ray. I ordered it the other day, and what a coincidence that they've wrote that. Save the cheerleader, save the world. I don't know why they wrote that, by the way.
I don't know what that is. What
No,
is
it's because of the dilemma. It's because of the dilemma.
Oh, right.
Save the cheerleader, save the world. Ah, right, okay, I see why you said it now. Because that's in Heroes. That save the cheerleader, save the world. That's like the prophecy. Oh, have you not? Oh, if you do see it, just watch the first series. Don't watch any more than that because it's shit after that.
Okay.
But, that's just a strange coincidence that he wrote that there. But you press a button which killed a random person residing on Earth for one with loads of zeros, probably about 100 million or something. Some of which you can give to charity and save many lives. A random person. So you press a button, one random person dies. I mean, that's like, it sounds guilt-free, but if you were to then find out who that was and then meet their family and stuff, then all of a sudden, it's horrible.
It's like you think that's not going to get back to you. I mean, that person's going to find out somehow. The person, like the husband of the person who, say it's some Chinese guy's wife that gets killed. So I don't care. I'll press it a couple of times. Those people are going to, I'm sure it's not going to be a secret thing, is it? I mean, it's somehow going to get attention. So he's going to come after you.
I wouldn't do it for the money. No, I wouldn't allow a random person to die just for that money. No, for the money.
Ben Bernanke, isn't he like the treasurer of the Federal Reserve? The human moralism.
CVS.
Sorry?
If he is, just to let you know, me and Sargon have Patreon accounts. If you are the fucking Ben Bernanke, just saying. Anyway, what are you saying there?
I mean, you
humanist moralism.
Printing the money, so. Sorry, go on.
Would you kill yourself to save an innocent person? Well, only if that innocent person was my son. Otherwise, no.
Yeah, it'd have to be someone I cared about a great deal. Yeah, and it'd have to be guaranteed as well.
Yes, I am. Yes, Ben Bernanke.
Hi, Ben. How's it going? Cynic. Fuck Ben Bernanke. What's it like being the ruler of the world?
Ben Bernanke.
So there was
this guy up.
Yeah, he's the chairman of the Federal Reserve, I think. There was a guy on.
I'm guessing Jewish then to be the head of the Federal Reserve. Jewish, knew it. Yeah. I'm saying it was obvious he was Jewish if he was head of the reserve, but there you go.
We live in a Jewarchy or something where all the top positions are Jews, aren't they? But
it's strange that you get called anti-Semitic for saying that, and yet to me, I don't see it as an insult. I don't see it as an insult when people say, "Oh, your people run everything." How is that insulting? Just tell them, you're fucking right, we do, piss off, rather than crying about it. But whatever.
No, I'm with you. There was a guy a while ago on he was on Sky News, and he's like a Wall Street executive, and I can't remember the situation how it came out, but the hosts of this Sky News program were asking him about like how the world's being run and what he thought of it, and he basically came out and said, look, Goldman Sachs is the one that rules the world, no one else rules the world, and they were just like, what? And he was like, he was very, very frank about it. He's very frank about it. Like, look, it's the people who are printing the money who are pulling all the strings. So don't be under any illusion, sort of thing. And these people were like, right, okay, we're going to change the subject now because that's, one of those sort of man behind the curtain moments where, when an insider's saying, you guys aren't in charge, your politicians are not in charge, and it's very true. I think I really do think that that there is a New World Order conspiracy. Just look up the amount of politicians who keep going on about the New World Order. In fact, I'm going to do a video about this as well, basically lampooning the idea, but then going into a bit more depth about it, because there absolutely is a globalist conspiracy with the bankers. That absolutely is. And I've read a book called Bush Family of Secrets, and it's very interesting because it's one of those things where the guy, I had it as an audiobook, and it was the longest audiobook I had ever downloaded, and I listened to it all because the guy had done his research. Everything about this was incredibly well documented and sourced, and they are absolutely conspiring behind the scenes. And the thing is, it's ludicrous to think that they wouldn't. When you're talking about that much money, the only goal left in life is power. There's when you are the one printing the money, what more do you need? What are you after then? And it's power and control. And I genuinely think that is the case. And so that probably is Ben Bernanke. He's probably just going to be like, yeah, I'm coming for you now, mate. You're fucked. And bam, in comes Special Forces, and that's the end of me.
Yeah, I've got a question here from Gary Wise. Good fella, would you either have every piece of food that you eat scream before you eat it, or have 300-foot robotic Hitler set loose on your hometown once every 6 months? Well,
Hitler.
I would go for the robotic Hitler, because you didn't say robotic Hitler and his army. You just said robotic Hitler. So if we've got some painter, some robotic painter coming into town, it really doesn't bother me at all, to be honest. I'd rather that than everything screaming that I eat. But good question, though.
See, actually, this is something I'd like to talk about. Actually, is dictators, and I hope Chaz is still watching, because it's the sort of thing that's probably going to really piss him off, and it's going to piss a lot of people off. I think that society as a whole should, in Britain at least, should really start entering into negotiations with Britain first, because it took the Nazis 13 years to rise to power, and for like half of that time they were complete nobodies. Nobody cared about them, and they ended up tapping into the great undercurrent of dissent and dissatisfaction against the government that was installed by the Allies. And now I know it's not completely analogous, but this is what I keep trying to say to people who I've got friends who go onto the Britain First page, and I don't like it on Facebook or anything, but I see them going onto it and then calling these people dickheads and telling them to fuck off and die and all that sort of stuff, and I can't believe it's coming from my friends, And I had this huge discussion with them where I was trying to put across, like, look, right, what you're doing is a bad idea for a lot of reasons, right? For a start, you're not going to anyone who is on the fence about this and is looking at this Britain First webpage is going to be like, well, the people who are attacking them, I mean, these people, I assume, are not big fans of immigration, which is why they're looking at the Britain First page and they're wondering whether they should or shouldn't. And then you've got these people who are extreme left-wing liberals who are very in favour of unlimited immigration, which these people are, who are saying, oh, this is absolutely a good thing, and if you're criticising it and you're scum and I hate you, I hope you die. And it's right, okay. And then the people from Britain First are just going, oh, we're tired of unlimited immigration, stop it, which is all they need to say to get someone, to then go onto their side. So, first point, going on their page and just screaming abuse at them is highly unproductive. It's just going to drive more people to their cause. Secondly, they've got 500,000 likes on Facebook. And, I mean, you might think, oh, in the grand scheme of things, that's not a huge amount. How many likes do you think the Tories have? In fact, I'm going to have a quick look.
I follow Britain First on Facebook, but it's FURST.
Yeah, the parody, yeah.
They take the piss out of them. I think they're quite funny.
See, the Conservatives... the Conservatives have got 12,000 likes. Labour have got 177,000 likes. So Britain First have got more than twice as much as the most, these parties combined. And this is where dictators come from. This is the thing. Everything Hitler did was legal. He did not. He tried to overthrow the government in the beer hall putsch, which failed, and he spent time in jail. And then he just went and joined the Nazi Party again. And because he was such a charismatic guy, he basically started commanding them, and he started setting the tone of his re-entry into the Nazi Party. And then he basically hit upon this undercurrent and rode it like a wave into the government, and then just started passing all these enabling acts and stuff like that. And so everything he did was by the word of law. And I just want to say to people, look, right, when you've got 500,000 people publicly supporting this party, that's significant, and all they need is for the dictator to turn up and start converting everyone else, because 500,000 people gives him a platform, and you screaming abuse at them is just going to push them further to the right. It's not going to bring them back to the center, which is where you want them to come. So it's one of those things that it's like, look, right, I know it sounds ludicrous now, but 13 years before World War II, it sounded ludicrous then, and look what happened. And so this is the thing, dictators they don't just arrive, capture everyone in a magic spell, and then go off and commit genocides. They hit upon a popular feeling that isn't represented in the mainstream, which is precisely what Britain First is, And so saying, oh, well, Britain First can just fuck off and die, that's just going to make it worse, And they've been around for like a year and a half or something, and they've already got tens of, hundreds of thousands of supporters, if not more, who don't have the balls to like them on Facebook, but just, silently support them behind closed doors, and vote for them in private with the vote. And it's early days, but I keep saying to them, like, so what? I think we should compromise with them. And I know I'm going on about this, but this is something I really am concerned about, right? And my friends are like, well, I mean, yeah, I'd be happy to compromise with them. I'd be like, okay, what's your compromise? And their compromise is effectively the people from Britain First can shut the fuck up. I'm like, well, that's not a compromise, is it? So how about if we said that all immigrants who have been here for 5 years or less have to leave the country? And they're like, no, I couldn't agree to that. And it's like, right, well, that would be a compromise. They want to get rid of all of the immigrants. You want to get rid of none of the immigrants. So if we got rid of some of the immigrants, then that would be a compromise. And they're like, no, we wouldn't agree to that. And so basically the extreme inflexibility of the far left, I honestly think, I mean, I know it sounds ludicrous when we're saying it now, but in 10 years' time, how ludicrous will this sound? Because these people aren't going to go away.
I don't think they're going to get a lot of real power or anything. I mean, they keep their own downfall. Some of the things they put out, I mean, it's constant, because I've seen them. A lot of people in my family like their posts as well, so I see a lot of their stuff. It's just scare tactics. It's all scaremongering, like.
Yeah, but you say that's not the most effective way. They're doing that because that works. I mean, how the hell do you think you got the Americans fought on the war on terror? Fear.
But the people who are liking these pages, they might, first of all, not be of voting age. They might not be voters. You know what I mean? And it's that's because they're liking the page because they put up what they want to hear. They want to hear all this anti-Muslim stuff. We're going to be under Sharia law. It's never going to happen. I mean,
no, it's not. It's not
too unrealistic.
You say they're underage and they're not voters. Yeah, but in 10 years' time they will be voters. And they've just been pushed and this is the point. It is a large underclass in society so I know a lot of people who you would consider salts of the earth, to put it nicely, and they all share this sort of view to a greater or lesser extent. It's white upper middle class people, and well, not necessarily upper middle class, but white people who are fairly well to do, who are the ones who are saying, oh, well, immigration's great, and I'm not for or against immigration in either way. I'm just saying that, like, let's listen to both sides. And these people are saying it's perfect, you can't change anything, we're not sending anyone home, and the other side's like, send everyone home. And it's like, okay, well, there has to be some sort of, because I mean, they've spent 20 years trying to persuade everyone that unlimited immigration is great, and it's grown this giant underclass of people who hate it. And I don't think they're gonna have their minds changed. And I certainly don't think screaming abuse at them is going to change their minds. And the thing is, the more abuse people scream at them, the worse these people are going to get, the more fanatical for their point of view they're going to become. And what I'm saying is, this is how dictators are born. I know it sounds crazy, I know it does, but it's the first step on a path, And just the more steps you take, you eventually get to the destination.
I don't think they'll I mean, to be honest, I don't even know what their destination is. Is it really truly just for an all-white Britain? Is that what they're after here, or?
I doubt that's what they're actually going for. I'm probably making straw man out of it.
And when they say immigrants, do they mean illegal immigrants? Because I can understand saying.
I don't think they mean illegal immigrants. I think they just mean mass foreign immigration. Yeah. I think primarily they're talking about Muslim immigration. To be fair.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're doing it from a racist point of view, which is the first thing anyone's going to say. Oh, you just hate people with brown skin. It's like maybe they just don't like Islam.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I don't like Islam. You know, I'm not good. I don't think Muslims are bad people or anything like that. But like with any ideology, it demands sacrifice. It doesn't end. Ideologies never end well. You know, they never end well.
The thing with Muslims is they take it seriously. You know, this religious game. I think that's what people fear. You know, because they're more serious than Christians.
Oh, absolutely.
Even in the deep south in America, Muslims are more serious than them when it comes to their religion, and that's what people find frightening, that they're that fucking serious about it, man. But they'll never like take over here and that. But I think, see, if every group of people on Earth just went into another society the same way the Chinese do, we'd all be happy. The Chinese keep themselves to themselves. They offer something, you know. They come with work, with a plan to work. You know, they've got their own little community. Yep. They don't bother anybody. They don't commit mass crimes. They don't, you know, as I say, they keep themselves to themselves. If everybody done that, we would all be happy.
Well, this is the thing about Indians, is the example I like to bring up for that. Indians have been in Britain in large numbers since the 70s, and you wouldn't know it, except for the fact that you can go to like a corner shop at 11 o'clock at night where no English person would do, because they're prepared to work for it. You know, they put the work in, and therefore they get my money. You know, they are providing a service that I want that no one else is providing. And I say Indians, but frankly, it is. You know, I know one English corner shop in the town I live in. You know, it is. It's not racist, but the point is, the Indians, they're not trying to ruin the country.
No,
they're not trying to. They're providing a service that I actively support with my money, and therefore, great, you know. And I know Indians. There's a restaurant called the Jewel and the Crown around here, and a friend of mine used to eat there a lot, and knows the owner. And the owner absolutely hates immigration. Because he came here in the 70s when there were standards. You know, he had to work to get into this country, and so, you know, he came in, he set up a business, he's been successful. You know, it's a family-run business, it's been there for 30, 40 years, however long, and he absolutely loathes this immigration because these people are just economic tourists. You know, they're not here because, you know, they respect the country, or they're here, you know, they just want to get a crappy paid job because it pays a lot more than what they would get back home. And so they'll become, you know, comparatively wealthy. Their family back in the other one will be comparatively wealthy. But sorry, I've been going on quite a lot now.
Somebody said, who is it said it? Somebody said, I remind him, Thomas Lara said, Goodfella reminds me of Elvis too. I remind him, Elvis? I don't know why that is.
Yeah, introductory, immigration harms the working class. That's exactly true. You know, everyone complains that the working class can't get a break, right? Because in 2012, I think it was, the government statistics showed there were 500,000 jobs on average available to be filled, and there's something like 2.5 million people unemployed, and it's like, yeah, okay, so why do we need immigration? You know, I mean, this is a rolling figure, obviously. You know, people get a job and lose a job all the time, but it's on average roughly that sort of proportion. And so I can really understand the argument against immigration. If you look at, like, London's sewer system was absolutely clogged to the gills with, like, sanitary pads and stuff like that. And I use the trains all the time, and they are packed, and not just with immigrants, they're just packed with people. You know, just the raw numbers. The infrastructure wasn't built to sustain it. This whole thing's been crazy. And no one's going to upgrade it either.
Joe Jones says, the thing is, if you look at the religious percentages of the US, there are more Muslims than there are Jews. Now, why do I find that hard to believe? There's more Muslims in America than there are Jews.
There might be.
Do you know, I really have trouble believing that.
Why is
That's just because I just see the Jews basically. They're everywhere in America. I mean, you know what I'm saying? No,
Wow,
they're just
it's like the feminists, isn't it? They're not the
no.
ones doing the dirty jobs. You know, the Jews are the ones, you know, making Hollywood movies and lobbying for the Israeli, lobbying for Israel and the government. You know, they're not. There are only 15 million Jews in all the world, so, and 7.5 million of them.
But you don't hear a lot of you don't hear a lot about Muslims in America though. Outside America, you don't hear a lot of talk about Muslims in America. I honestly can't think of it. I'm not saying there's none, just that.
There was the mosque.
Oh, aye, there's that. Aye.
That's. I mean, I wonder if Muslims in America are worried. You know, I mean, I could quite easily believe that from like a Middle Eastern perspective, it appears that America is at war with Islam. I could believe that they think that, you know, and I could see why they would think that. So I imagine that Muslims in America probably just want to keep quiet and get on with it.
Maybe, maybe.
You know, because I like all things, I'm sure 99.99% of them are really nice people who just want to get on with their lives. You know, I'm sure they are. But like with anything, it doesn't matter. It's the squeaky wheel that gets the grease.
Yes.
So if you're, I mean, this is the thing about the BNP and like Britain First and stuff. They make a lot of noise, but there is such a cacophony of people who drown them out. No one will tolerate it, you know, and it's mocked and it's just raged against. But you don't get the same thing with feminists and their crazies, or Muslims and their crazies. You know, I mean, you get it with Christians and the Westboro Baptist Church. You know, they're not taken seriously in any way. And yet Andy Chowdhury's given airtime to espouse his bullshit, and it's just like, you know, it's because, you know, they're not white, I guess.
We're talking about the BNP. See, whenever they do on British television, they like on the BBC News, for example, they have to show all the party political broadcasts, right? What they'll do is they'll say, and coming up next is the Labour Party political broadcast, and then the Conservative one. Well, see, when it comes time to say for the BNP's one, they always go, look, we have to show this just to be fair. The only reason we're showing this is because we have to show every party's political broadcast. So here it is. So before you even see it, they've told you that, look, we really don't want to show this. We really don't want to show this. These people are bastards and we don't want to show it, but we have to. They already put that in the mind of people before they've even heard what they've got to say. And for me personally, it makes me more interested in what they've got to say, because I'm then thinking, well, wait a minute, I want to know if they're as hateful as you suggest. And, you know,
absolutely.
It's a horrible tactic.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing. It gives credence to the people they're trying to slander. You know, I mean, why would you be saying that about them? Do you not think that I would listen to what they have to say and then make that conclusion from their own words? You know, I just...
They'll try to control who you like. That's all it is. They'll just try to control who you like. That's all it is.
But, yeah, exactly. But why are they trying to control who you like? You know, why would they care? Let me try and... Right, so I would think that if the BNP were saying, let's kill all black people, if I were running the BBC, I'd be like, well, we don't need to put a disclaimer before this to say that we don't want this up.
Exactly.
We'll put that up, and people will be like, Jesus Christ, did they just really advocate for the killing of black people? That's disgusting, you know, what a fucking hate group. And so the fact that they feel the need to go, look, we didn't want to do this, but we're going to, and then the BNP are going to say, like, look, do you not feel that unlimited immigration is really damaging the country? And there's no question that it is. There is no question of it, right? And so this obsession that the left has with validating all of Labour's mistakes is really pissing me off. You know, I try to be a centrist, and in some regards I agree with Labour, in some regards I disagree with Labour, and the unlimited immigration one is one that I highly disagree with. But yeah, this comes back to the New World Order thing, though. You know, this is a genuine conspiracy. You know, Gordon Brown was well up for it, well up for the globalism, and I honestly think it's not. And things I don't even know if it's necessarily a conspiracy, more than sort of a zeitgeist within the political class for globalism. You know, for the concept of global governance, and ultimately, I do think we're going to have a global government. So I think, realistically, we should all get on board with it. But I really don't want it to be the fucking politicians who are in charge, because they're awful. in every way.
Well, who else would be? I mean, who else is going to do it except the politicians? If there's a one world government, I mean, I can't see that happening, especially in an island like Britain. So many people are against the idea of anyone outside controlling anything, and I think the same would apply to America. I mean, don't get me wrong, Americans would probably be head of the world government, but
Yeah, absolutely. They'll be in charge of it.
I think if the idea that someone out with their country was running their country, they wouldn't like that. Well, even though that technically does happen, people are going to think I'm anti-Semitic, but Israel pretty much runs America, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it does though. See, when there's a presidential campaign, why do they always have to go to that Wailing Wall? What the fuck has that got to do with America? You know what I'm saying? Very strange.
Yeah, there are some sacred cows in America that no one wants to talk about.
Oh, you can't, because it means you hate people if you do.
Exactly, and the thing is, there are people in the American government who say that. They don't say that, because if they were to say that, then they'd be ostracized from politics. But they've like implied it in interviews and stuff like that, and it's the sort of thing where you're thinking, so are you telling me there's not some sort of, this is the thing, there is definitely some kind of shadow government. There absolutely is. American foreign policy has been too consistently imperialistic, not for this to be, the Conservatives and Republicans surely don't agree on this imperial policy. There is surely, you would think there was an anti-war party. You would think there would be a party who opposed interventions and conquests and bases all around the world, but there isn't. They're both well on board with it. It's just how much of it you get is what they're questioning, and so this is why there is certainly a power behind the throne, without a doubt. Also, George W. Bush, did he mastermind his own fucking presidency? Fuck no. He doesn't mastermind his own breakfast. He is, he's a puppet. Everyone knows he's a puppet. Obama's a puppet.
Oh, clearly.
They're all fucking puppets. So who's puppeteering them? And it's the banks. Everyone knows it. It's the corporations and banks. And
they need the money for their campaigns and.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, this ultimately is what the New World Order is. It's the business order. They're not really talking about government structures, because government structures don't really matter. Every country almost, apart from like North Korea and Iran, have a central bank. So it's like, right, okay, that's a weird thing to have in a capitalist society. A planned economy, a planned financial system. That's a really strange thing for a capitalist country to have. So, but no one questions it, and that's what they're talking about when they say New World Order. They're talking about an economic world order. They're talking about the businesses basically buying out governments, which has happened. It's done. It's a done deal. So all it needs now is ratification.
Reese Foster there is saying not all Jews are bad, not even the majority. I have to say, right, that see when people say they hate the Jews and stuff, right? I can't think why. Right, I honestly I can't think. When I think of Jewish people, I don't think of like bad people, negative or anything like that. There's, not completely harmless, but at the same time, I see them as harmless. I don't see them as a group that are worthy of hating, and I don't know why people do hate the Jews. But maybe there's other reasons that I've not heard of. But it's, to me, no, obviously not all Jews are bad, but I really don't know why people don't like them. I'm thinking of the Jews. And most of the time, I witness Jews is in the entertainment world, because that's, they're in, they rule comedy in America, they rule Hollywood in America. They do really good stuff. I don't know why people hate them. Maybe it's got something to do with Palestine and stuff. I don't know, but for me, I can't think of a real reason to be hateful of the Jews, unless it involves, religion. But I'm not religious, so I don't care about that.
Yeah, I mean, at the risk of sounding like an anti-Semite, there are a lot of reasons to dislike the Jews, and these aren't my reasons. These are just reasons people have used throughout history. For a start, all through the Middle Ages, the Jews were despised in Europe. Despised. Edward I kicked all the Jews out of England for 800 years. He didn't do it for 800 years, but he kicked them out in like 1287 or something, and then. It wasn't. It was like 600 years later that the Jews were let back in, and then a central bank popped up. So it's not like the Jews are their own worst enemies in a lot of ways. They're like, right, what we're going to do is we're going to go to a continent that is militaristically Christian and part of Christianity is that we did kill their savior, right? Okay, that's a silly thing to do, but go on. And then we're going to practice usury, which is outlawed by the religion that is militaristic against, people who kill their savior, which is silly if that is something that Jews are going to be heavily connected with. And it obviously was, it obviously was. And so I can see why, it wasn't Jews working the fields, this is the thing. And so I can see why people had, the Jews didn't help themselves there, you know what I mean? I can see why the people would have been angry about them. But conversely, I don't really think that, Holocaust is a proportional response to it. So, there we go. But I can see why people would be angry at them. Not angry at them really. It's not the right way to term it. It's I can see where the prejudice has come from. I think to be honest with you,
it's just going back to what I said before about fighting the ancestors' fight. If we didn't fight our ancestors' fights, would people hate the Jews?
Well, I think a lot of it actually comes from economic reasons. They were money lenders on a continent where money lending was outlawed. It was a practice called usury, is to make money off money, basically, loans with interest. And the Catholic Church was very quick to outlaw that. And Joe Jones, it was the Pharisees that were telling the Romans to kill Jesus. Pontius Pilate publicly said, I wash my hands of this because I don't see that Jesus has done anything wrong. But the Pharisees were absolutely, no, you will have to kill Jesus, blah, blah, blah. But that's a different story. But yeah, it's more, money lending, making money out of money. Money is meant to be the means by which transactions occur, but the means by which we can basically, it's used as like virtual bartering, or it should be. And so to make money off of the fact that you have money is pretty immoral in my opinion. You're not doing any work. You're not producing anything. You're taking advantage of your situation over someone else to then say, and where is that extra money that you're going to get from them going to come from? It's not going to come from production. It's going to come from the fact that you've taken something from them. So I can see why usury is a bad thing, and I can see why people in the Middle Ages, when they owed lots of money to the Jews, and the only reason they owed lots of money to the Jews is because they were piss poor, because the Jews had lots of money. I can see where they're coming from. It's not unfounded. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this is any excuse to hate the Jews, because most Jews aren't money lenders, especially in modern times. But it's not like it's not got a reason. Don't let the Holocaust cloud your mind. There are reasons why people didn't like Jews. But I think it's highly unfair because it's just not representative reality now. But yeah, so there we go. Now I'm an anti-Semite. As a misogynist, and what else am I?
Well, people are saying Gandhi was a pedophile. Is that true? Where's really getting that from?
I think he had a lot of. He did. He was a bit of a cult leader, wasn't he?
No, but earlier on I said a raging paedophile can't be the same compared to Gandhi, and then people are saying Gandhi was a paedophile. So looks like I got that one wrong. If that's true, of course.
I'm just googling it. Let's see what Google say. Well, I hate to use the Huffington Post as a source.
Good.
But apparently he was a wife beater and a paedophile. But
I like him already. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I can hear the feminists raging in the background. Yeah, but I mean, he's a man of his times, wasn't he? That's the thing. It's all well and good saying that Muhammad was a paedophile, but in Muhammad's mind, he wasn't a paedophile. In Muhammad's mind, he didn't do anything wrong because everyone did it. It's like slavery.
Oh, you mean back then? But even then, if the age, I think the age was 6. It's really hard to think of a time when humans thought it was okay to do that to 6-year-olds. But then I don't know, man. It's a horrible thought.
It wasn't about the age though. It was about physical characteristics. Because he didn't consummate the marriage till 9. Now I'm not justifying this, but his reason, the reasons that everyone had, is that it was when a woman first had her period, or a girl first had her period, that signaled that she had entered womanhood. And it's not that uncommon for girls to start their period at 9 years old. I'm not saying that it's right then for him to do that, but that is what the mores of the time were. When a woman has a period, and she could be 16 when she has her first period, and then she, is considered a woman sort of thing. So, I mean, it's just time of ignorance, really, wasn't it? But the thing is, if you actually look at her life, sorry, go on.
No, just back then, you don't imagine there'd be many laws in place. You know what I'm saying? It's hardly the most civilized world.
Well, yeah, exactly. Medieval Arabia, yeah, that was civilized. So I mean, there are a lot of people who there's a very strong argument to Muhammad actually being an incredible reformer, because if you think Islam's bad now, just think about what it was like before Islam. It wasn't all smiles and roses. Muhammad was doing a good thing for the people he was with, by giving them Islam.
Yeah, there'll come up. You think there'll ever come a point on planet Earth where there will be no religion?
No, people are too stupid.
You think it'll just keep going and going?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, they are stupid though.
I think even if aliens turned up,
they pass it down and they pass it down.
Yeah, and I don't really think they'll ever.
Well, they just say God put the aliens there.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I don't think they'll ever come to a solid, scientifically provable and indisputable proof of where the universe came from. I mean, not in any reasonable time scale that we can imagine. Not in like the next 1,000 years, I imagine. Where it's like, absolute concrete proof that your average layman can't refute, because the average layman could just say, well, that sounds like faith in itself, so your science has now become a religion, which is what a lot of them do say, isn't it? So I don't think they'll ever be able to stamp out religion.
Shame.
Yeah, it is. I think it's silly. But, we've got some nice architecture out of it.
Well, that's true. That is true. No, I mean, imagine... I'd be interested to know all the good that religion has actually done. They must have done a lot of good, even though there's been a lot of bad. Like you say, the architecture, that's a good thing. Yeah. There must be a lot of art as well that comes from... a lot of art is religious, So I'm sure they've done a lot of good as well, but imagine just none at all, no religion on Earth. It'd be a strange one, really, I think.
Yeah, I mean... yeah, there is. I mean, slavery was a moral innovation in its time, So I've got no doubt that, like in places like ancient Arabia, pre-Islamic Arabia, I mean, the tribes that Muhammad united initially, they weren't even the major civilizations in Islamic Arabia. They weren't the Sabians or anything. They were just these fucking backwater desert bandit tribes, basically. So he did a lot of good for the people who had there. These people were very, and I know that sounds condescending and patronizing, but frankly, they fucking were. They weren't very nice people. They were tough as stone, but they weren't very nice. And so, it was definitely a moral step up. But saying that in the Dark Ages, that you had a moral step up, that's not really saying much, is it?
Dr. Randomercam says, we might get to a point where we only worship the Beatles. That'll do, won't it? Well, I would say no. I would prefer to worship the greatest British band of all time, the real greatest British band of all time, Iron Maiden. Not the Beatles.
Yeah, Dr. Randomercam, I love your videos, man, but I hate the Beatles. Although they were funny, to be fair.
I see that song that they sing as well. I'm so glad that she's my little girl. How fucking weird does that sound? You're so glad that she's your little girl. What the fuck are you singing? What the hell, man?
That is weird. Jeremy Morton is just questioning my slavery was a moral innovation. What was worse than slavery, Jeremy? Being butchered. That was worse than slavery. That was the thing. Slavery started a very, very, very long time ago, and it was a moral step up from everyone just being slaughtered out of hand. That was the moral innovation of slavery. It wasn't very high moral innovation, It It's but this thing is a progression. It's baby steps.
One step at a time.
Yeah, exactly. We were going to slaughter your entire tribe, but now we're just going to make you work the fields and then, live off your produce, which is better than being killed.
Implying anybody gives a shit about Iron Maiden. It's a cliche to say the Beatles are the greatest British band of all time. People say that, but nah. I mean, we're talking about a band whose manager actually hired a bunch of women to scream and follow the Beatles around and scream at them, which started a craze which still goes on, where women scream at pop stars that they like. Still goes on to this day, but the first ones to do it were paid to do it in order to give people the impression that the Beatles were popular, and it totally worked.
I did not know that.
If you look it up, you see that the Beatles manager, I think he had like 40 different women or young girls or whatever, and they were paid to follow the Beatles around screaming, "Oh, we love you, John, we love you, Paul," or that jazz. But they were paid to do that, and women, because women are sheep, they all just started doing it, so they didn't need to pay them anymore.
I tell you what, there was who was the guy who basically invented public relations? What was his name? I watched a documentary where he's explaining how he basically encouraged loads of women to smoke by dressing cigarettes up as torches of freedom against male oppression, and so loads of women started smoking to show publicly that they were emancipated from their husbands. And it's just like, all right, that's and it caught on like wildfire. All these women agreed with it, and it's just like, right, that's pretty nefarious. That's. That's awful.
There's an advert in you know how Grand Theft Auto do mock adverts, right?
Yeah.
One of the mock adverts is for Athena cigarettes, and it's for cigarettes for women, and it's the way they do this. It's just dead funny, like every puff celebrates your freedom as a woman, things like that. And it's just, you can imagine advertising cigarettes to women, talking about how empowering it is, to smoke, and you just see it happen. It probably did happen as well back in the day.
That's exactly what he did, and it was Edward Bernays. Thanks for that, guys. Thanks for that, Ben Bernanke. But it's propaganda. That's the thing, and he was talking about how, because the Nazis had ruined the good name of propaganda, they needed a new subject, and they called it public relations, which is just propaganda, and it's just about, fucking with people's minds, because people are stupid and don't really think about what they're being presented with. So,
A lot of subliminal messaging and stuff. It does work. All that kind of stuff
absolutely
works.
It's just highly manipulative. And I think that's really immoral. Guild of Four, the woman's name is Rebecca Watson. Rebecca, I have no idea what.
Rebecca Watson.
Yeah.
The wonderful Rebecca Watson, eh? Fuck's sake, man.
I don't know why anyone listens to a word she says. What does she even do? Is she a scientist?
She's probably some social commentator. In other words, not a real job.
Well,
did she do gender studies?
I'm just looking at it now.
At first, she wanted to be a famous atheist, and then she wants to be a famous feminist, and I think she wants to be a mixture of both now.
I think
just like the rest of them.
Right, hang on. I'm just
pretty much
just trying to figure out what qualifications she's got. Bachelor of Science degree in Communications. She has a degree in Communications.
What kind of crap is that?
While attending Boston University, Watson worked as a magician. She says she had relatively little serious interest in science during her high school and college years, but became more interested in science after being a magician. That's weird.
She's a magician?
Yeah.
Is that the first time I've ever heard of that? I've never heard that in my life.
No, me either. And
she's
she's the
magician? Christ's sake, man.
She was on a panel with Richard Dawkins. Why the fuck was she on the same panel as Richard Dawkins? You know,
I think I've seen that. It's just that there was other nobodies there as well. Richard Dawkins was the only somebody. I think that's what it was, and she was one of the nobodies. I think that's what it was anyway. But she's a magician. Isn't it a pity that that guy in the elevator didn't saw her in half?
I can't believe she's not a scientist. You know, she hasn't trained in science, so why does she talk about science? I mean, I suppose for the same reason I talk about history, but I don't know. She just does my head in. Yeah, her angry felt vaginas. Yeah, I love it. I watched this podcast she had done that the Amazing Atheist was taking the piss out of with Thunderfoot, and she's talking about how they made in some workshop they made angry felt vaginas, and it's just like, really? I mean, if I had gone for a workshop about atheism or science or whatever, and it involved making felt penises, I would be wondering what I was doing.
Yes.
You know, I mean, come on. You know, that's retarded, isn't it? It's balmy. I tell you, I can't believe that after like 3.5 hours, there are still 108 people with us. I cannot believe it.
Not bad, eh?
No, it's not bad.
I'm not bad that we've been on for that long. Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to call it quits, or?
I'd be happy to call it quits, yes. I'm going to upload a video after this anyway. I'm going to work on that video. I've already done it. I'm just going to edit it, the 10 misconceptions about feminism.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I'll upload that. Yeah,
I'm going to watch Thunderfoot's video in a minute because I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, I definitely watch that as well. Oh, aye, that's a must.
Yeah, upload yours, and I'll probably be able to catch it afterwards. Because I'm looking forward to. I like response videos. I really like response videos. I tell you what, Dr. Random
They're fun to do.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? They really are. But I do like Dr. Random Accounts one. There's something. He's got this kind of energy that's just so entertaining to watch. I swear to God.
I like the one he done the other day with the victim fight.
Yes.
It's so true. It was like two groups of victims. Which one is going to win? You know.
I can't believe that the white woman lost against the black guys. You know,
it's a tricky one though, because they're shouting "Death to America," you know. So the police don't want to go near them because they'll be seen as hating Muslims probably. So they're scared of that. They're also black. They're scared of that. You know, they don't want to be. You know, but I love there's a thing that black people say. I can't say it because I would just sound like an idiot, but I love the way they say it, and they said it to her, right? See, after they pushed her after they pushed her to the ground, I just heard one of them saying, "Fuck out of here." Couldn't stop laughing at it, man. I thought I'd love to be able to say that, but I just can't say that because I'm not a black American, you know. But they just say, "Fuck out of here."
The patriarchy wins.
But she was invading their space. I mean, the way I see it is you don't walk up to somebody's space like that. You know, you're right in their space, and they were not in any way threatening to you before that. You deserve to be pushed out of the way. You're pushing your luck, man.
Yeah, she had an axe to grind. She decided she was going to get up in their faces, and they didn't take any of her shit. So it's kind of satisfying to watch, to be honest. All things fishy.
So what do you think of the solar roadways?
Yeah, ludicrous, isn't it?
Well, I think that the people behind this idea, I don't think they're intentionally conning anybody. I just think they're really deluded. That's all I think. You know, I think the idea, it sounds really good, you know, without knowing any of the facts. It sounds fucking brilliant, but when you start to look at some of the details and the costs and that, it's like, okay, you went a bit far, but I can see how it sounds like a good idea. But I don't think they're con artists. I don't think they've went out to con people out of money. I don't think that was their goal. I just think they're wrong, that's all. But,
I
don't think there's any harm done, because you know.
I fully agree with you there. I don't think they were con artists. You know, I mean, they produced the tiles for the roadways and stuff. I just think that they were really wishful thinkers, to be honest. Glass is... I'm not a scientist, but even I can see that a glass roadway is the stupidest thing you could possibly do. I mean, imagine what that's going to be like when it's wet. You know, no matter what dimples they've got on it, and you know, like you were saying, it's a soft material, so it's going to get ground down. So you're going to end up with polished glass speedways that are just going to, oh my god, it's a death trap, absolute death trap waiting to happen. And that's assuming that, you know, the LEDs don't get cut off and fuck up the lanes, and it's a stupid expense. And I think Thunderfoot's actual suggestion of just put fucking solar panels over the roads. Holy shit, that's actually a great idea. You know?
Well, they do that in Germany. I think it's in Germany, where they put it on top of like bus stops and canopies that cover cars. They put all the solar panels there. You know?
But see, that's a great.
And another good point as well. Another good point as well is that there are many people that would steal those solar panels just to have one in their house.
Well, that's true. Well, in the house.
No, I mean, no, just for the sake of having one of those hexagon solar panels that light up. They would just for the sake of keeping it the way people steal fucking traffic signs and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing they didn't think about. Yeah, exactly. People are just going to steal it. I mean, drunken students are going to steal them. You're going to find whole sections of road have been dug up by fucking drunk idiots.
And then there's hacking.
Yeah.
There's the hacking risk as well. You know, people hacking it and writing anything on that. They could cause accidents. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a cool sounding idea that could never pan out in reality. So I really think I really think what you're saying, if in America you just have these vast straight roads over deserts, just put solar panels over them. I mean, surely the people driving under them will be happy for the relief from the sun, if nothing else. You know, and then you've got all this energy that's being captured at a much more efficient percentage because of the angle it's at, and you don't have to pay fucking maintenance on them like you would do on a roadway. I mean, it's stupid.
Truth stings is saying, how about getting a feminist on the show the next time? Now, I'd be all for that, but who the hell is going to do that? What feminist is going to come and talk to us, you know?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, guys, right? If anyone finds any feminists that we can, and I don't just want one either. I don't want what happened with if we're gonna have two of us on this, I'd want two feminists. I'd want them to be the educated academic types who aren't complete idiots, because I wouldn't want to just feel like I'm steamrolling them.
And we'll be nice. We will be nice.
We believe it or not, we are capable of being nice. I will try and keep the fucking idiots down to a minimum. But exactly. We would be inviting them as guests, and unlike Lena Dunham, I don't mock my guests.
And they can talk about whatever they want.
Yep. I would definitely, if you guys can find some feminists for us, get them to contact us. You know, definitely. I think we'd both be up for that.
Yep, definitely. I've got nothing to fear, because the thing is, I know they would never turn up anyway. But none of their stupid pishy tactics would work on me. You know. Yeah,
exactly. They can't shame me. The shaming thing really it pisses me off, because they just say it, and it just washes over me. It's just like, yeah, but that doesn't change anything that I've said. My favourite is, has your mother seen your videos? And I was like, probably not. So I sent my channel to my mum. I don't think she was massively impressed, but it doesn't matter. You know, she knows what I'm like. She's my fucking mum, for Christ's sake.
As soon as you focus on it, but as soon as they say something like you stay with your mum's in your mum's basement, right? As soon as you say, well, actually, no, I don't, they've won.
Yeah.
Because you've focused, you've changed the subject. Yeah. You know, they've won. So you've got to go, right, we'll discuss my mum's basement in a minute. Let's go back to the topic at hand. You know, exactly. You've got to stick to the topic.
Yeah, I'll make a note of it, and then after the discussion, we'll go back to that.
But I'm definitely up for that. If anybody can entice any feminists, as many as you want, to come on, and we won't cut them off, and we won't mute them, and we won't shout over them, and we
won't call them faggot cowards.
No, we'll be nice. We'll be nice.
Yep. Because I just for the Americans, this is a very British thing. You're very polite to your guests, even if they're your enemies. You don't act like a twat, and we promise that we won't. So if you can get any feminists on board, I'd love to have it.
Another good British thing as well is to absolutely rip the piss out of somebody while being polite, and they don't even realise you've just done it. That's another good thing about.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, there are levels of subtlety, aren't there, that is, yeah. I tell you what, I do wonder actually, because I find that, and I find that British people do have a very different sort of, like, when I watch American comedians, they're all kind of the same. Even, like, there are some really clever ones, and they're very good and stuff, but they're not anything like British comedians. And I wonder if it's something about, like, the British school, because I tell you, I don't know about you guys, but when I was at school, it was a battleground of piss taking. Everyone would take the piss out of everyone else. You had to be, on the ball to win these little sparring competitions. And it really seems like other countries aren't like that.
A different sense of humour, entirely different sense of humour. I think Ricky Gervais said it quite well when he was talking about the difference between the offices, and he was saying the Americans like comedy, but they like the star of the show to be the hero, whereas the British like comedy, we like the star of the show to be the complete loser, who, we prefer the absolute loser who everything goes wrong for. Whereas the Americans, they prefer a bit of a happier ending. It goes wrong for them, but everything's all right in the end. Whereas the British, it's not all right in the end, because at the end it's still the same. Everything's going wrong for the guy. There is a difference, but I do like the two brands of comedy though.
Yeah,
British and American. But
I just find that they're different. That's the thing. I like I'm trying to think of American comedians that I like now, and none are springing to mind.
Bill Burr.
So Bill Burr, he's a perfect example. But the thing is, he's not like most American comedians, and that's the thing. I find him to be a lot more like British comedians than other American comedians, because he is so unabashedly honest about what he's saying. And
you can put yourself down. You can put yourself down a lot as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But I find that, like, a lot of British sort of comedians and that ilk are very acerbic when they come to tearing someone down. The Americans, I find American comedians. Oh, yeah, George Carlin, that's true. But again, he's not your average American comedian. That's what makes him so special. And Bill Hicks, they're not the average American comedians. But yeah, when it comes to tearing people down,
it rubs off on different people.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, when the American insults you, he'll call you like an arsehole, or he'll call you a name, Whereas when an English person is insulting you, they will tear apart parts of your personality, and it's a lot more personal, and I find it to be a lot more, like, effective, So I don't know. It's just a cultural difference, I find. And but I think it comes from the schoolyard.
Yes.
I might not be wrong.
But some Americans have a British sense of humour, and some Brits have an American sense of humour. I find that the Justica, I think he's very British, even though he's not British at all. It's how snarky he is. You see the way he's very snarky with people. Yeah. That's very British to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
He always reminds me of like British. He's something about him. He's very British, even though he's not British at all. But yet his sense of humour seems to be.
See, Less Than Logical's just posted George Carlin, then Louis C.K., then everyone else. And I used to think the same about Louis C.K. as well, until he did that fucking thing about, women. The biggest threat to women is men. Oh, isn't that terrible? Aren't men awful? I did like Louis C.K. until then. That just put me off him. Like the guy from the Young Turks, he has his moments now. But that fucked me off, because I'm just thinking, if the biggest threat to women is men, then you're welcome, women. The people who are trying to protect you are now your biggest threat. You're welcome. The world is safe for women. That's what you're saying when you say that, Because I tell you, in the Middle Ages, the biggest threat to women wasn't men. It was fucking, the Black Death and shit like that. But no, it's... it does my head in. So yeah, no, Bill Burr, then Louis C.K., sorry. Oh no, sorry, George Carlin, probably Bill Hicks, then Bill Burr. Then
I don't actually like George Carlin, because for the same fucking reason. Because he done that shit as well. He always licked women's asses all the fucking time. Yes, he did. All this shit about men are the fucked up this planet. He done that skit where he said, "Oh, men have fucked up this planet and done this and done that. Women would be better in charge." And all. You know, the usual licking women's asses shit. You know.
Yeah.
But this is what I was saying earlier. It's not worth liking a celebrity because it's just a matter of time before they say something that makes you not like them. It's just a matter of time.
Well, yeah, I'm never really one much for hero worship with celebrities anyway. So, but yeah, I didn't know he did that. I really didn't. But I hate that sort of the conception that it was men running the world. I mean, just because they were men doesn't mean that they were acting on behalf of men. You know, that's what drives me crazy. Like, I had an argument with some idiot in the comments section of, did you see that that libertarian anarchist guy? He's some northern kiddie, and he had a really entertaining intro to his video where he's like, oh, you know, I'm going to advocate feminism, and then it was, you know, like, you know, the world colliding with another planet and stuff, and it was, you know, dramatic music, and it was hilarious. And so I thought that the whole video was a parody. And about 13 minutes into this 15-minute video, I was thinking, Christ, this punchline had better be hilarious, because I am, you know, and it wasn't. He was just actually advocating for feminism because he was an anarchist. And it's just, oh, for fuck's sake. And I managed to get into it in the comments with some kiddie who was going on about it, and it was just like, I don't even remember what my point was now. I'm so pissed off. So, yeah, sorry. But yeah, I thought Carlin did some anti-feminist stuff as well, as Truth Stings has pointed out. I didn't think he was... Maybe he was just... I mean, women aren't feminists, and feminists aren't necessarily women, so I guess, you know...
I'm positive he was talking about... It's when he was talking about either the environment or the planet or something, and he went down that Michael Moore road of saying, oh, men have fucked this planet up, you know? It's something along the lines of... women would never fuck this planet up as much as men have. Something like that. I said women wouldn't fuck this planet up half as much as men have, or something, you know. I mean, just this blanket, you know, self-hate in order to get women to like them. It's just fucking so annoying. But again, it's comedy. If it gets a laugh, then it's allowed. Yeah. That's the way I see it. So if it gets a laugh by saying it, then fair enough. But I see it as licking women's asses.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously was pandering to a certain degree, but at the end of the day, like you say, he was a comedian. Did it make him laugh? If it made him laugh, then he did his job.
Yes.
You know? And it might not necessarily be his opinion. I mean, I say a lot of things for comic effect that aren't actually my opinion. You know. Did I hear another good rape joke? I thought I had a rape joke, but I can't remember it. It was something about someone had told me a rape joke, whereas some like rape jokes are passé because they're so forced. I tell it badly, but I'm just trying to collect a big group of rape jokes, so whenever a feminist comes along that's pissing me off, I can just really enrage her. But yeah, on that note, yeah, if you guys can find any feminists who want to talk to us, and I don't even want to do a debate, actually. You know, I don't necessarily want to debate them. I kind of want to get to the root of what their ideas are, because they're so contradictory. I want to just lay out these contradictions to them. So, you know, I don't necessarily...
Well, as I said, I would be willing to talk to them about anything, because I'm absolutely convinced that whatever they choose to talk about, I'll be able to rip apart.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be able to dismantle it piece by piece, because you just need to go along very slowly and address each part. You know, there's no secret to it. It's just paying attention to the crap that's coming out of their mouths. But yeah, if anyone was feeling brave, I'd take them. Yeah, I'd do it. But right,
they can outnumber me if they want. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. That was the thing about that guy in that video. He was so unassertive, and I'm just thinking, man, I would be demolishing these women, and everyone would be like, "Well, he's such a misogynist, so mean to women." Like, well, if they'd stop saying stupid things for 5 minutes,
they're going to say that anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to say that anyway, so it doesn't matter what you fucking say. So you might as well just straight out hate them, because they're going to say it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. He was like the nicest guy about it, and they were still like, so do you actually hate women? Yeah, that's a good point. Do you hate women? And fucking ludicrousness. Absolute ludicrousness. But yeah, it's gone midnight, so we should probably knock it on the head there.
Right, okay then. I'm up for that. Do you want me to say speak us out?
If you'd be kind enough to do so.
Okay, right then. I'll catch you the next time, Sargon. Right.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll leave you just a quick joke.
Go.
I saw Jessica Alba getting attacked the other day by 3 hot naked lesbians. They were ripping her clothes off. They were touching her everywhere. I tried to help her, but I only managed to knock one out. I'll leave it there for now. Until next time.